What's up, Acolyte Squad? My name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte. I'm coming to you guys live from the dojo, and this is the first episode of the Urban Acolyte Off the Dome show. Because I'm literally coming to you guys off the dome. I got no notes, no script, just giving you guys my thoughts on geek culture with a heavy emphasis on Star Wars because that's what most of you came here to hear about was Star Wars, but we're going to be talking about a number of things in this episode of the Off the Dome show. Before I get into everything, I want to give a shout out to my beta group, and I mean beta, not like, oh, these guys are alpha. I mean beta is in beta test group for what I was calling 12-week superhero. We haven't actually had a chance to get started. There were a lot of issues. Gumroad, who I was gonna initially when I came up with this, uh, it was gonna be online personal training. I was like, yeah, I've been talking about this superhero training program I'm gonna do online with through an app and video and everything and checking in with people and monitoring their progress. And then I started my apprenticeship with GMB, that's Gold Medal Bodies. You can check them out if you want to like learn about calisthenics and gymnastics, but not from like some YouTube influencer. Nothing against the calisthenic community here on YouTube. I follow a lot of those guys, but these aren't like young guys. Like I'm in my 40s now, right? Like I'm not really trying to do what somebody who's 20, 25 years old is doing, right? Because I learned last year this time that when I get injured, when you get older, it takes a little bit longer to bounce back from those injuries. So some of the approach that these guys have towards calisthenics doesn't really work for me, doesn't really work with some of the older guys that I've already worked with or people I've worked with in the past. So anyway, I started that apprenticeship last last January, right before I got legally married here in Thailand. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I can do this coaching thing and do the apprenticeship. And then this year I was like, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll make it a course where people can buy it. That's what I told the test group. Was it was going to be a course. You go through it at your own pace. And then after I thought about it while I was having issues with technology and Gumroad wouldn't pay me, that was a big is I just now, even though they paid a long time ago, I just now got paid because there was problems with the payment processing and all kinds of stuff. But I started thinking like, well, if I just release everything, there's no way for me to check up on these people. There's no way for me to see if they actually make progress or if they have questions. So I've come back to you guys who are kind of waiting. I'm going to coach you guys through it. You're getting it at a huge, I think they paid like, well, y'all know what they paid because the price was up there. But it like if I were actually offering this, it's like it's personal training. It's not something that you just throw out there and oh, like it's just like you hire a trainer, except uh you talk to me through your phone, right? I talk to you through my phone, you talk to me through your phone, and I'm not there counting reps, so you're not paying per session. But I think like a month back at the gym I used to work at, a month training with me was like 400. So 3 months I was like, well, that's gonna be, I hadn't decided on the price, but 5 to 600 somewhere in there. So I mean, you're getting 3 months for the less than the price of a month and a half of training, right? So that sounds pretty fair to me. Um, so that's what we're gonna do. So you guys who are, I know Rodney Brown is a soldier. He's tried out every program I put out. Y'all be checking your email for. You're gonna be getting a link soon to register for the app, and then there'll be a questionnaire because that's another change. Is I was like, oh well, this is just gonna be an at-home thing. You guys in America, since most of you are vaccinated with the COVID, the country is opening back up. There's going to be an at-home version and then a gym version. And so I'm going to have to send a questionnaire out to you guys to find out what kind of equipment you have at home, what kind of stuff do you have in the gym. That way I can like pick and I can decide what exercises, what variation of the program you're going to be doing. If you guys are still interested, I'll do a second beta test group. You guys won't get the early bird discount, but I'll still hook you up. It won't be whatever the full price is going to be, but I think I already have 10 and I can't do more than 15. So this isn't a marketing thing. Like I legit have 10 people already, I believe. So 5 people. If you're interested, later I'll come back and post a link to a Google form, or you know what, just message me on Instagram at Urban Acolyte. I would say on the Facebook page, but I don't I barely see those messages. So Instagram, if you see like at Urban Acolyte, you go to that Instagram and you don't see Star Wars stuff, then you're on the right one. The Instagram account with Star Wars stuff, that all of that stuff gets reposted from Facebook. So I don't even check it anymore. That's why it's Urban Acolyte YouTube. I posted to Facebook, it gets shared to Instagram. But my main Instagram is at Urban Acolyte. You'll see fitness stuff, kung fu stuff. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to figure out a price for that. It's not going to be anywhere near the full price. I'm thinking I'll probably do like a 70% off discount. I'm saying that and I have no idea what the numbers are, so I just said it. So 70% off of whatever the full price was going to be for the full program for the second group of beta testers. And I'm going to get you guys, the guys who are already been waiting to go, I'm going to get you guys running on that as soon as I can. Anyway, let's that's that, we got that out of the way. I got all this training stuff on my mind because like my I've gone back to my old YouTube channel name, Golden Bell Training. So I've got like all this training stuff on my mind. Urban Acolyte grew out of Golden Bell Training. That channel initially was like martial arts, meditation, and kettlebell training. And those of you who are subscribed, the channel was called My Name is Prince. It was my personal vlog. But I had an Aikido video blow up. I've got like 30 the next 30 videos already planned for that channel. I had them planned back in January, and it's just with the GMB apprenticeship, and we moved back from Bangkok back to Pattaya in February, and just everything going on. It's been hard to keep up with my schedule that I set way back when, and then trying to figure out how I was going to do this coaching training thing too. There's a lot going on. But that channel is kind of, it's like, well, I don't really feel right posting my personal vlog stuff. Now I've gotten to the point where I can see what YouTube videos and channels people are watching who are watching that channel now, because there's so much buzz and activity. A lot of people are watching Ramsey Dewey, martial arts journey. It's a good thing. They're like watching a lot of the martial arts channels that I watch, which is good because that's where I kind of got my idea. That's where I've been doing my YouTube research. So it's like, oh, pat myself on the back. My YouTube research has paid off. That was something that, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it like I lost motivation to keep working on this channel because I was seeing that like a lot of the people who were watching and interacting with the videos were watching Fandom Menace channels, and I'm like, that's not the people I'm trying to attract. That's not the audience that I'm interested in, right? I'm not interested in interacting and engaging with Fandom Menace people. And then I had to think about it. I was like, well, why is that? Oh, it's because the Doomcock video, there's so many people watching the Doomcock video and going and downvoting it because they can't deal with the truth, right? people get these tribes and they get behind influencers, and that's why they call them influencers, right? Because they influence the way you think, the way you perceive stuff. And it's like then somebody comes along and they say something about this influencer that you don't like, and it's like, no, I can't deal with it. It creates the whole cognitive dissonance thing. And I've seen that with the Fandom Menace people who follow that. I met someone in person who watched all those channels, when the Captain Marvel movie came out. This is kind of an interesting segue, but I'm like talking about it, but it's gonna come up later, so you have to stay tuned for when that comes back, especially specifically because it's like I dealt with a guy who was a fan of the Fandom Menace channels and was letting this inform the way he saw these MCU Marvel movies, right? When Captain Marvel came out, and there's a thing, all these Fandom Menace channels, Comics Gate, people in that little Comics Gate group. I don't want to just label them all Fandom Menace, because I think of Fandom Menace as a Star Wars movement, and this is like a geek culture thing, right? And it really, like I keep saying, look, you got Gamers Gate, Comics Gate, Star Wars Gate. Fandom Menace falls under Star Wars Gate, right? Comics Gate, I mean, Big Daddy Ethan, Jeremy's Big Daddy Ethan, he's the big one behind that, right? So that's why I was like, I don't know if I can call these other geek culture channels who kind of echo that same message. I don't really want to call them the Fandom Menace, even though I mean, like, I don't watch any of that stuff. I like the last shoot, since my focus has been on Golden Belt Training, my martial arts channel. I haven't paid attention to anything, none of the Star Wars channels, the people that I'm like, that I've met, that I like. I've been disconnected from all of it, and I don't really have any I don't really have any intentions on reconnecting with them, if I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, right? I read somewhere, whenever somebody says if I'm being honest, that means they're about to tell a lie or they're already told one. No, there's no lie here. Like I'm really being honest with you guys. I just, if now I've had people reach out to me about collabing, podcasts and whatnot. Um, like the homie Chris Ryans, what it Broaxium, like we've been, I mean that I've been bumping with that dude. Like he made a couple of my t-shirt designs. He's done a lot of artwork, a lot of work on the back ends for me back when I was in the US. So like big homie, we definitely gotta hook up. I told him I was waiting on this green screen that's behind me. So obviously, big homie, when you see the replay or whatever, you just let me know. But remember, I'm 12 hours ahead of you here in Thailand. So, you got to remember, uh, that there's a time difference, right? So, and I'm doing this fitness apprenticeship. Like really right now, I need to be writing my notes in my journal for my coach and putting up my workout videos. But I'm here hanging out with you guys. I just tell her, yeah, she knows I'm a YouTuber. The YouTube is work for me, so that's what I'll be doing when I hop off of here, and then I'm gonna hit the sack because it's already 10:40. I got to get up and get to my workout. But I kind of just needed to decompress, let you guys know what I've been up to. Just for those of you who are I'm interested in the adventures of Prince, and I just like the way you do YouTube. If you haven't seen my martial arts stuff, I'm not asking you guys to subscribe. If you don't like martial arts stuff, don't go, because it ends up hurting my numbers. If I look up and there's like 20,000 subscribers tomorrow, hey, that would be awesome as far as vanity numbers. It make my ego feel good, right? But if it's like 20,000 people who came over from Star Wars just to, yeah, I'm gonna help you out, Prince, like that's not helping me out. I'd rather just put in the work and take the time to grow the channel, with people who are actually interested in the videos and stuff that I'm putting out over there. But uh, some people have made the journey over there, and they're like, yo, man, these videos are better edited, and the quality of the content is better than your Star Wars stuff. So, it's that's what I love, right? Um, the whole urban acolyte thing, training to be like a Jedi, that's kind of a story that sounded good here, right? When I was dressing up in Jedi robes in my attic and all of that. And, my friends were like, it's like your YouTube channel is like a Jedi is teaching people about Star Wars, right? But uh, what I was doing, I was interested in Shaolin, right? I wanted to run off to China and go train at Shaolin Temple, shave my head bald, wear the yellow and orange robes like a Shaolin monk, and so Golden Bell. Well, my name is Prince Bell, Golden, kind of prince like, princely, right? And then with the kettlebell training, you guys remember back every now and then I'd shoot a video from my garage, and I had all the kettlebells. A 48 kilo competition kettlebell is painted gold. So there was the idea of, oh, well, I want to be able to one day uh, press two 48K. So, two, what I guess I'd be pressing about 200 pounds, right? Two 48s. Um, I was like, man, I'd be doing something. I can press, two 48 kgs, two golden bells. So that was my goal back when I was big into kettlebells, is I wanted to be able to press two golden bells, right? And then there's the Shaolin skill. There's the golden bell skill, golden body skill. It's when, I think Adam Meisner in a video was talking about if you have iron shirt skill. And I got that on my mind because what is it? McDojo Life was making fun of him. That's a video coming up. Is I'm gonna do the problems with McDojo Life. Who's actually a dude. I actually love his channel, so it's not gonna be like when I went off on that that totally pointless dork who just has a comedy channel where he makes fun of fake martial arts. And I'm like, sometimes you guys have these fake martial arts channels, but occasionally you talk about somebody who's like legit, but you don't understand what they're talking about, or maybe they are kind of clownish, because there's always in martial arts, there's always that weird guy that everybody laughs at, but then you test him, and it's like you don't want to f around and find out that he's legit. And I'm no fan of Adam Meisner, but I do have to give him his props. Meisner is legit. um I've never touched hands with him. I know people who have touched hands with him. They're better than me. And so I don't need to swallow my ego. There's no shame in me saying right now Adam Meisner is better than me. I have two people. One of my friends at the Tai Chi club I helped start in Nashville. He trained with Meisner and he quit everything. He like cussed me out on Facebook. He was like, you'd never be able to touch Meisner. He's you could spend the rest of your life training. He'd be better than you. And I'm kind of like, I don't know about that, because one of my teachers touched hands with Meisner, and so that's how I know how good Meisner is, or at least was a few years back. But I know someone else who I've also trained with, and all these people are in the school that I belong to. So I just say I train what I train, and I'm pretty happy where I am. But people calling out Meisner. There's also McDojo Life called out a guy in Nashville who I trained with when I first came back to Nashville from California, runs a school. They're actually celebrating their 15-year anniversary I think this weekend or next weekend. And that guy's been in a lot of fake martial arts viral videos, and I'm like, well, what he was doing in that video, yeah, that's kind of suspect, but that's a dude you don't want to f around and find out, because he's a big dude. He looks kind of clownish, but he's big, he's fast, and he hits hard. And I know because like I said, I used to train at his school, and I've been hit by him. That was one of the reasons I stopped training there. I'm like, yo, man, I'm paying to get my ass kicked here. Why am I doing that, right? So, like I said, in the martial arts world, there's always some weird guy who talks funny, who does weird stuff. You don't really understand it, and you don't want to f around and find out that what they're doing is legit, right? And that's all of the we call out fake martial arts people. Uh, that's where I have an issue with all of them, right? Is that unless you go and test their hands, you from a YouTube video, you don't know, right? I got into it with I think an MMA guy, and I gave him way more attention than he probably didn't got nothing out of the post. That's why they say don't cast your pearls before swine. Not to call him a pig or anything, but it's like, I gave him the keys to the kingdom, and it's like, well, it's like I gave him the keys to the Ferrari, and he's don't even have a license, right? So I basically told him the secret to a lot of these Tai Chi demonstrations, where you see the guy and it looks like they're not moving, and you see the people jump back. Now, I mean, there is a little bit of uh, uh, showbiz showing off going on, but there's some, like, I understand how to do those demonstrations, but the legit ones, if they don't if they don't sell it a little bit, it's like you won't. You're like, I don't understand. I don't see anything. What's happening, right? It's just like and I this is gonna be in my next Aikido video, where somebody who subscribed to this channel, actually, he saw an old video where I was talking about training with my Sifu, Sam FS Chin. And I was like, the first time I touched Sifu, it felt like I was being pulled into a hole, but he wasn't doing anything. Now, if Sifu put that in a video, actually it was recorded, but I don't know what happened to the video. It might be on our school website, for members of the school only to see. I don't know. I don't know what Sifu does with all the video footage from his seminars and workshops. And this happened almost 10 years ago, so there's no telling where that video is. But if you were to see the video, I wish I had somebody record it myself so I could show it. But it's like, if you see it, it looks like nothing's happening. Now, my teacher doesn't like people to sell stuff. I think in an upcoming episode of the Off the Dome show, I have planned to go through Star Wars Theories video on Freddie Prinze Jr., where the Freddie Prinze Jr. response, where he showed that he doesn't have a clue about, like, Star Wars, and people in the Facebook group, they know that that's coming. And I had like all these notes, because when he posted the video, I was on my way to New York to go train my Sifu. It was literally days before because I came back from New York. I came home, I packed my bag, I went to bed, got up, and got on a plane for Bangkok, and I've been here in Thailand ever since. And I had all these notes where Sifu was talking about stuff, and I was paying attention, but I'm like, oh man, that's like, there's a real life lesson here that I can use Star Wars to help explain. And on the flip side, I can use this real life concept from mindfulness and martial arts to explain things in Star Wars. And I'm looking at my notebook it's right here. It's got all my my kung fu notes and everything in it. So I'm actually, no, I don't think those notes are, because I think it's in a different notebook. I might have copied it into that one. I don't know. But yeah, that's one you wanna stay tuned for, because I'm gonna go through and methodically, like, I'm not gonna rail on him and call him a little B like I did when he cried when he saw Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, and Pablo Hidalgo laughed at him. I'm gonna, like, literally go through and teach, and if he doesn't watch it, look, I don't care. I don't care, right? I'm trying to help this dude out. He's the biggest creator in the Star Wars community. I'm trying to level his game up. If he's not interested in watching it, who cares? Y'all don't know. I mean, y'all probably already know that. I mean, the Lucasfilm story group, they know, right? They told me. Rain Roberts, who's the producer on the Acolyte, that show coming, to cap off to put an end cap on the High Republic. She was like, Prince, you got a handle on the spiritual aspects of Star Wars, right? She said it. She I guess deactivated her account on Twitter, or I'd show you. I was trying to show the tweet in an old video, and that's when I found out, Rain Roberts, she like deactivated her Twitter or whatever. I guess because she didn't feel like getting harassed. But anyway, since we're talking about Star Wars stuff, let's jump into some recent Star Wars stuff. I'm trying to. I don't remember. Is this there? There it is. Okay. Let me move this up here. All right. Been a minute since I played around in this. All right. So this is a Star Wars day. May the 4th be with you guys. It's almost the 5th over here though. Revenge of the Sith Day. Right, so apologies if you haven't seen The Bad Batch, the first episode, but this is going to kind of be a Bad Batch review discussion. I just watched it and I was very impressed with The Bad Batch. I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I didn't really watch the Clone Wars the last season. I watched I think one of the episodes where the Bad Batch was introduced, and then I guess it was supposed to tie into because there's the guy, the Lobot looking guy. Oh, you guys can't see my mouse. With the implants, I guess he got blown up on the episode where they broke into that prison or whatever with Tarkin, I think. And the droid that was inspired by Kobe Bryant was in that. I remember going back and watching that because I watched that first episode and I was like, oh yeah, I'm a break down the Clone Wars episodes as they come out and do these discussions and stuff. And the real reason I didn't watch the Clone Wars, we were in lockdown. My stepson and my wife's youngest brother were both with us during the lockdown, and M, my wife's youngest brother, M is a huge Star Wars fan, but he doesn't speak English. He can't read English, and I didn't want to sit there and be watching the Clone Wars with this kid he's a teenager. He's a kid to me because I'm old. I didn't want to watch Star Wars in front of him, and he doesn't understand what's going on, and he's like, I didn't want him to feel left out, so I just didn't watch it at all. I went back later and I watched the last 3 episodes with Ahsoka, how she survived Order 66, even though, I already kind of knew from the Ahsoka Tano novel. But that's the real reason I didn't watch the Clone Wars. People, oh man, you gotta watch it. What do you mean you didn't watch? I didn't watch it out of respect to, a family member because he couldn't enjoy it. Right, Disney Plus is not. It's not officially in Thailand. You need to watch it with a VPN. NordVPN doesn't work over here with Disney Plus. ExpressVPN is great. That's what I use. I remember Nick Nimmin and D Nimmin, 2 YouTube creator gurus, live up in Chiang Mai. Well, D has been stuck in Mexico because of coronavirus. I remember when The Mandalorian came out, the first episode, we were all on Twitter trying to figure out how to see it, right? So there's no official Disney Plus in Thailand, so there's no Thai subtitles, nothing, which doesn't make sense because the Marvel movies, the Disney movies that come out, like Star Wars, or what is it, the Rise of Skywalker, they had a Thai dub. When I saw it in English, they had Thai subtitles. The Last Jedi was on Thailand Netflix, and there was There was a Thai dub on Netflix, but there's no Disney Plus in Thailand. So it's like you guys have Thai dubs. So what are you waiting to have all of your catalog dubbed in Thai and have subtitles too, or what? I don't know. I don't know how long that takes, but it is what it is. So my anyway, I didn't watch it because my brother and my little brother he couldn't enjoy it, and I didn't want to sit there and not let him. I would have watched it dubbed in Thai and gone back later and watched it dubbed in Thai and read English subtitles, because I don't need the voices. I just need to know what's going on. And anyway, the subtitles would have been better if I'm writing reviews and diving in depth, because then I don't miss any lines if I read them. And I'm used to watching foreign movies. But anyway, so hey man, if you guys haven't seen this and you don't want an episode spoiled for you, then come back in. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to talk about this, because I'm literally going off the dome, right? I know what topics I'm gonna talk about, but there's no notes, right? I just got a browser, and it's like, all right, when I talk about what's on this browser page, I go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. But just Bad Batch. I didn't watch any of the trailers for the Bad Batch. I knew that I knew Phoenix Shan was gonna be in it because I follow Ming Na Wen on Twitter. I think I don't know if I still follow Star Wars Twitter. Maybe I do, but like I'm for real. Like I just got burnt out with Star Wars. I was like, I'm tired of every day somebody's complaining about something new. There's probably people complaining about something right now on Star Wars Twitter, and I'm just like, I'm kind of, even like people in the Star Wars community that I follow and like, I'm like, even y'all like start stupid, unnecessary stuff. Like, it's at the end of the day, it's Star Wars, is fiction, man. Why you gotta find something to be offended about? Like, I could sit here and find things to be offended about and make a new video a day about something that I don't like, something I got an issue with. But I'm like, you know what? I want to be the dude that talks about what I like and what I find deep, right? This is like with The Last Jedi. Is The Last Jedi perfect? Hell no. But I chose to focus on the things that I like. You know what's great about The Last Jedi? The Last Jedi, and what are these posts I see on Twitter? Describe a movie that you like without saying what you like. All right. A movie about a young woman a young lady blossoming into womanhood who's going through a spiritual awakening and needs help. That's how I describe The Last Jedi. A young woman moving into adulthood who's going through a spiritual awakening and needs help, right? She needs help from Luke. She needs friends. She's been isolated her whole life on the desert in Jakku as a scavenger. And then one day, Finn drops out of the sky. BB-8 drops out of the sky, and it changes her whole life. She gets off the planet and discovers, I have the Force, right? Well, I've known it all along, but it's something suppressed in me, right? She suppressed it. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe, her family told her, she forgot about it. The traumatic experience of her family leaving her there on Jakku because what is his name? Ochi, the Sith assassin, was pursuing her family, and just the traumatic experience of being left behind and stranded, not knowing what's happened to her parents, right? Are they coming back to get her? That traumatic experience caused her to suppress her Force sensitivity, and but now it's awake and I need help, right? That, for a person who's had mystical experiences, and at the time that The Last Jedi was coming out, right, I was dealing with some of those issues all over again. That touched me. That scene touched me, and that's what made me like The Last Jedi, right? And I remember when I put out the Doomcock video the first time, and the guys on Reddit, Bespin Bulletin, and these guys who were posting the leaks that people on YouTube are crediting Doomcock for. And I'm like, yo, all this stuff that he said, I read it on Reddit. I read it on Reddit. Where did you read that? Reddit. I read it on Reddit. Right? I'd read all of that stuff before I came to Thailand, right? I could have made the same videos, but one, I was like, well, maybe if it happens, it happens. Like, I had accepted going into The Rise of Skywalker that I was going to have the movie spoiled because people tried to spoil The Force Awakens before I'd even started talking Star Wars on YouTube. Thanks a lot, Han Solo died 69. Literally spoiled that scene for me like an hour before I was going to leave to go see The Force Awakens, or maybe it was 2 hours. I don't remember. And then, and then I had people like jumping in the Urban Acolyte Facebook group, like trying hard to spoil stuff from The Last Jedi, right? So going into The Rise of Skywalker, I was like, I'm just going to spoil the movie myself. I'm going to read every spoiler, everything, and see what happens, what doesn't happen, and, and then I'll just go in, right? I lost my train of thought because I'm looking at this picture of the Bad Batch, and in my mind, like, bro, just get to the Bad Batch episode. But anyway, that whole thing was right, like, talking about what I like, what I didn't like. Oh, the Doomcock stuff. So these guys on Reddit were like, oh yeah, I like that you said what you said about Doomcock, but I can't respect you because you like The Last Jedi. And I'm like, okay, those two things have nothing to do with each other. Well, everything in your you put together this proof, right? And all of your premises logically lead to, they prove this conclusion, right? They prove your truth statement, but I'm going to nullify your truth statement because you like The Last Jedi. That's not how logic works. That has, well, you successfully proved the law of thermodynamics, but I can't accept it because you're wearing pink underwear. Fuck. What does that have to do with anything, right? Maybe I'm wearing pink underwear for cancer wear. I don't have a pair of pink underwear, just for the record. All right, but anyway, so the Bad Batch. Like I said, I wasn't really interested in this. I didn't watch any of the trailers, nothing, which is kind of good because I went into this unspoiled, other than the fact that I knew Fennec Shand would show up. And if you guys haven't seen this, like I said, come back, check back later. When I talk about something else, I think I'm talking about the High Republic after this. But this first episode was dope. It's 70 minutes long, so it's a little over an hour. It connects, it connects to the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels. It starts with Depa Billaba because I was like, oh, like where were they during Order 66? They obviously survived. Depa Billaba's pinned down with her clone troopers. Caleb Doom, who changes his name later to Kanan Jarrus, is off to get reinforcements. And who does he come back with? Clone Squad 99, right? The Bad Batch. They come to the rescue, and as soon as they clear out the droids and the little hover tanks or whatever they're called, Depa Billaba's head clone trooper in command, officer in charge, the time has come. Execute Order 66. Right? So Order 66 goes into effect. Depa Billaba's, trying to fight off her clone troopers. Kanan, Caleb comes rushing in, and no, Caleb, run. Right? And it's a blood curdling scream, like, please save yourself, get out of here. And we knew that story from or at least I did, from the little what was the last Padawan comic book series, but it didn't show anything about the Bad Batch in it. I almost want to go back and look, but I mean, stuff gets retconned. I don't really consider it a retcon. I'm just like they're adding on to the story, right? This is from a certain point. This story is being told from a certain point of view. It's Caleb's Doom's memories while Kanan is in a Bacta tank. So maybe in his memories, he forgot all about the Bad Batch. It's like he didn't know that they were the Bad Batch. They're just these are different clone troopers, right? So the Rambo looking dude, what's his name? Hunter, right? I say he looks like he reminds me of Rambo. He probably was inspired by Rambo. He basically saves Kanan. The sharpshooter guy, who's, what's his name? I don't know their names. I just know Hunter and Echo. Echo's the dude next to the sharpshooter guy. Because Echo was not, he was not initially one of the Bad Batch. He got all cybernetic enhancements, and he's like more machine than man at this point. As the IQ guy, the smart guy described him. He was the one that survived getting blown up in that episode that I mentioned with Tarkin and Anakin and Obi-Wan, where they're trying to break somebody out of man, it's been so long since I want to say Stygian Prime, but I don't know if that's the name of the planet. I just pulled that name out of the ether, right? But the sharpshooter dude, his inhibitor chip worked. The other guys, their inhibitor chips do not work because of their genetic defects, to enhance them. Hunter basically has Jedi senses. Is his name Rex? I mean, they're basically the A team, right? The dude who's B.A. Baracus, Mr. T, the big dude that looks like he, looked like when they gave him the growth accelerator, they pumped that junk full of super soldier serum steroids. Oh, that's what I left out of this, out of my plan is I meant to talk about the Winter Soldier and the Falcon. Well, I mean, I can always make another episode later. So that's the thing about this. Is like, oh, I forgot about I'll do it later, right? So y'all check back for that. For the Facebook people, yes, I finally have seen the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I binged all of it last week, one night, stayed up all night watching them, and I'm sorry I did that the next day. But anyway, so look like all of their what makes them enhanced, uh, you know, made them not follow Order 66. Like their inhibitor chips don't work, except for the sharpshooter dude, the sniper guy. His worked. And I kind of, like I said, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna say some stuff. I'm gonna make some predictions, guesses, and I mean, I don't mean to sound like some of these other guys, but when I make predictions of stuff, take this with a grain of salt. Look, I try to make informed guesses, but at the end of the day, this is all commentary, man. I don't write the stories. I don't write the script. I don't have any inside sources at Lucasfilm. I don't claim to. I'm just giving commentary, sharing my thoughts with you guys, right? And I try to, when I say it, I try to come at it from an informed place. If I say this is what I would like to happen, I'll let you know this is strictly what I would like to happen. But just kind of to jump to the end of the episode, the sharpshooter guy, like I said, his inhibitor chip worked. So guess what happens? He ends up ratting out these other guys because they go back. Tarkin is there on Camino, right? Because we know that eventually they got rid of the clone program. They stopped making more clones. Tarkin wants to conscript humans into it's cheaper. And I'm wondering, like, they're like, Tarkin doesn't like clones. Tarkin doesn't like clones. Tarkin doesn't like clones. Tarkin doesn't like Jedi. What the hell does Tarkin like? Well, I know what Tarkin likes. I made a video about what Tarkin likes, and some people didn't like it. But I'm just gonna say Tarkin Tarkin had a certain clone stormtrooper who he thought was a very beautiful man, and I know they didn't say any names in, any specific names, but whoever this person was, their log into the HoloNet aboard the Death Star was DS1, right? Meaning number one on the Death Star. And all I'm saying is, who was in charge of the Death Star? Tarkin, right? Will Huff Tarkin. He will huff and puff and blow a stormtrooper down. And that wasn't Samantha Aline under what's her name? Samantha Alien. I feel bad. I don't know how to say her last name, and I just told her she's my favorite stormtrooper on Twitter. She's the first. I think she played a First Order stormtrooper. She's been in every Star Wars movie. As an extra or somebody. She was a named character in the Rise of Skywalker. So it's like, oh, well, in the sequel saga, she was a stormtrooper and she was a Resistance pilot. It is what it is. Hey man, she's pulling double duty. I hope she gets double paychecks for playing both sides. Right. Well, she got more screen time, so it's more I think like the more hours you work on the set, like the more money you can get paid. So yeah, I hope that worked out for Samantha. You know, she's a mainstay with Star Wars now. She's been in everything. Wonder if she's been in The Mandalorian. I have to ask her. Anyway, so Tarkin doesn't like clones. I guess because clones ain't with it. They ain't with them Tarkin games. Them clones don't go both ways. The Tarkin don't like clones, right? So he's there to get to end the clone program, right? And then he finds out because the sharpshooter dude snitched out your boy Rambo. I'm gonna make up names for him, right? Rambo, Lobot, Killer Lobot, B.A. Baracus, Mr. T, and well, I guess would he be Hannibal? Well, he's Rambo, right? He looks like Rambo. Which one would he be? Who's the smart one in the A team? I don't remember. I watched the A team when I was little. All I knew was Mr. T, B.A. Baracus, right? Smart guy. That's what I'm gonna call a dude. Maybe one day I'll learn their right names. I know somebody that's gonna watch this and Prince, what their names are really. And I'm like, man, it ain't even that crucial. What I'm gonna say is not gonna be any different if I knew their names. All right, so I was kind of already seeing this though, right? Is that sharpshooter dude? He snitched out Rambo to Tarkin in his report. He was like, because Rambo was like, like sharpshooter dude was really trying to kill. He was literally trying to execute Order 66, and we know obviously he doesn't succeed because Caleb Doom grows up to be Kanan Jarrus, right? Trains Ezra Bridger, makes some sweet love to Hera, right? And now they got a kid named Jason Syndulla, right? So we knew he wasn't going to succeed, but it's like, well, how does Caleb get away, right, and become Kanan Jarrus? Rambo, Kanan jumps, like literally makes a leap of faith and jumps across a chasm. And well, if you guys have seen this, you know what happened. So, like Rambo is like, oh, I hit him with a stun and he fell to his death. And the sharpshooter dude is like, I don't think if you'd have killed him, you wouldn't have been looking across the chasm. You would have been looking down, right? And then he like takes his little sharpshooter thing and whatever and searching. And he comes back. He puts in his report, yo, man, Rambo Hunter let him get away. So Tarkin reads that report and he's like, oh, so that's what's up. So he sends them off to Onderon to deal with some separatists there. They get to Onderon. And what do we know about Onderon? The Onderon Civil War, Rebellion or whatever. Saw Gerrera, Saw Gerrera's sister, Anakin, and Ahsoka. Obi-Wan went there, trained them to overthrow the separatists who were there, right? And I think the king too, right? And they become part of, part of the Republic forces there on Onderon, right? Uh, but when the Empire comes into play, oh well, we're not, we 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 didn't get rid of the separatists, and we didn't get rid of this corrupt king just to have an emperor now. Like we ain't riding with that. We ain't riding with Palpatine's game plan. So the Bad Batch gets sent there to execute them, and they're like, oh well, where are the separatists? Where are the droids? These are like women and children. We ain't with that. And old sharpshooter guys like, yo man, I don't think y'all are. I don't think Hunter Rambo. I don't think he's fit to lead. Right? You disobeying orders. Good soldiers follow orders. Right? And then on top of that, Tarkin's got these little uh not spy droids, but what do they call them? He's got droids there that are tracking them. So he's collecting intel because he's like, this is a test, right? They're either gonna go there and die trying to take out the Onderon separatists, or they get rid of them. And then I know, and before that, I think he tried to have them killed for that, right? He wanted to see them in a training scenario, and they obviously succeed because they're the Bad Batch. They're a bunch of literally super soldiers among the clone troopers, and it's like, oh well, now we want live fire, right? So now they got droids that are shooting to kill, and these guys are playing with practice blasters. So it's like, well, the guys shooting at us can kill us, but what we got ain't gonna hurt them, right? So they get through that, and that's when Tarkin sends them to Onderon, and then it's like, well, they get back and get thrown. They get thrown in the brig, but since Camino is not a military facility, obviously it's not meant to hold them. They get out, they escape. But what's interesting about this episode is my big head is covering this girl up, right? Is that when you first get introduced to her, what is her name? Omega. And the Kaminoans present her as like, oh well, I mean, she's obviously a child, and they say she's like a medical staff, a medical officer or something. So I'm like, is she supposed to be some kind of genius or something? Why is she there, and she's the only human there? And then, well, we got Dr. what's his name? Dr. Beata, Chabiata. I'm thinking Chibata. Dr. Chibata. Chibata, that's bread, right? From the Mandalorian, right? He's got the Camino insignia. I'm thinking later, right, is they probably did have humans that were working there, yeah, it'd still be late. Yeah, because that's after the rebellion and everything. So yeah, maybe Palpatine had, Camino's now working on cloning Force sensitives, but I think there's going to be a direct tie-in to this show. I've already jumped to my speculations. This show and The Mandalorian and The Rise of Skywalker, because everything is connected. That's the thing about when you have canon, right? Is, oh well, this retcon this, and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of videos that all Star Wars dorks who find an issue, well, there's a big plot hole here, and they're retcon Kanan Jarrus, Caleb Doom's story with the Bad Batch, and this is why Kathleen Kennedy sucks. And it's like, oh no. They have something that's wildly popular. We've already got the Skywalker saga. We know how that plays out. Luke and Leia end up Force ghosts, and now we got Rey and Finn. If the Lego, I think somebody said, well, in the Lego Christmas special, Finn is training with Rey. Maybe that plays out, in the actual canon. We'll see, right? But we know that they're obviously going to do something with Ezra Bridger. We got a live action Ezra Bridger It's funny that the kid who played live action Aladdin's playing live action Ezra Bridger now. Is he the current, as in where they are in the timeline, the current Ezra Bridger, or are we seeing him in flashbacks? I don't know, because the people that talk about all these leaks and stuff, I don't follow them, right? They cried too much about the Mandalorian season 2. I lost respect for them. I'm like, yo, man, okay, you got inside tips on this or whatever. You got your sources. I don't have that sources. Whoever your source is either hadn't heard of me or they don't like me. If that's the case, F them. I ain't got time for them. If they hadn't heard of me, then hey, man, I come holler at me. I may or may not report what you're saying, because but you know it, if I hear it, then I'm gonna start asking deeper questions instead of just saying, well, this is what's supposed to happen and they didn't show it and I'm upset and I'm throwing a tantrum all over Twitter and my other social media. Like, be a man, grow a pair, grow up. You guys are supposed to be adults. Act like it, right? you know you're predicting this stuff sort of based on information that you heard, that you know to be true, right? And if it doesn't happen, just okay, it didn't happen. But you know what? It's all love. We love Star Wars, so we love it enough that we went and got all these inside tips and got podcasts and YouTube channels. You know, have fun with it, right? You're gonna get paid either way. People still gonna tune in and watch you. They'll say, well, guys, it didn't happen this time. Better luck next time. We'll see what happens next week. See what happens in a few days. It's coming. We know it's coming. And when it does come, it's just like somebody says, hey man, I'm gonna buy you a pizza. What's your favorite pizza? When you gonna buy it for? Hey man, trust me, I'm gonna get it for you. It might not happen today, might not happen tomorrow, but it's coming, right? And when it comes, it's, hey man, I got a pizza. Awesome, right? That's the way I see it. But like I said, I'm older than these kids, so I don't need it right now, right? But this what I'm gonna tell y'all. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But this is what I see happening. First off, the sharpshooter dude, we know Fennec Shan. This is why one of the reasons I didn't watch any trailers. I might go back and watch them now. But Fennec Shan, what do we know about her from The Mandalorian? She's a sniper. So you've lost this guy, the sharpshooter sniper dude. I imagine is going to be looking for them for the rest of, that's going to be part of the story, that they're going to be on the run because he knows how they think. He knows how they operate. He's got other clone troopers, probably, the elite ones, the better trained ones, the ones that wear the red stripes. I don't know what you call them because I've never really given a crap about clone troopers, really. I know Rex and Cody, and that's about it. Rex and Cody, and we know Rex is on the run, right? Ahsoka removed his inhibitor chip, and we know he's gonna be an old man running around, in Return of the Jedi, right? They're on Endor, right? Since they retconned and said, yeah, that old guy on Endor is Rex, right? So they're hopping all over the place, right? On the run, and Fennec Shan is going to end up replacing him, right? I mean, she kind of already wears their colors, even when we see her in The Mandalorian, right? And I'm thinking that's where the bond with Boba Fett is going to come into play. Is she ran with the Bad Batch, and then she meets Boba Fett, and Boba Fett's a clone too, and she's like, oh, well, you're my dog, right? I ran with your brothers. And he's like, they're no brothers of mine. Yeah, they are. They kind of are. Now, the big, I mentioned Omega. This is the big because when Tarkin was being debriefed on the Bad Batch, they said there were 5 of them, right? But we have 1, 2, 3, 4 because I said Echo was not part of the Bad Batch. He received cybernetic implants and got assigned to the Bad Batch. He's a brother, but he's a brother from another batch, another mother cluster of cells, right? So you know, it's like, so high IQ is like, yo man, Omega is the fifth clone. She's our little sister, right? And it's like, why is she a little girl? So like, did the growth accelerator process not work? Why is she a girl? Every clone is a dude, and then they got a girl, right? And I mean, like, I imagine this is going to be a big issue, especially if the the feminist agenda in Star Wars, if they hadn't connected the dots, if they hear what I'm going to say, share it with them, right? I'm probably gonna cut these up. Like, I'm not gonna post this long thing, right? Because I've already been on here an hour. I'm just getting started, right? This might turn into the a Joe Rogan type thing where he's like 3 hour episodes or something. I don't think my wife wants talking Star Wars y'all for 3 hours. Not tonight. Let's us start doing these earlier in the evening or day. Because I gotta go to bed and work out at some point. But one, you have all these shows, the animated shows always kind of revolve around like a child character. In Clone Wars, you had Ahsoka. Rebels, you had Ezra Bridger, right? Star Wars Resistance, Kaz, you didn't really have that, but Kaz was kind of, and I like what's his name, Christopher Sean Christopher, who plays Cass. If you don't follow him, he's a cool dude. He's actually gonna be he's Nightwing in the new with the Gotham Knights game, which I thought was coming out sometime soon, but I haven't followed it. I'd actually like to play that. If you haven't heard of it, it's like a kind of like a Arkham Asylum type game, but it's got co-op. Batman is dead, and you play as Nightwing or Batgirl or Batwoman, Batgirl, or what's his name, Red Hood, the other Robin, and maybe they have like the young Robin too. I don't remember. I just remember Batgirl, Nightwing, and Red Hood. I heard it was pretty dope. But Sean Christopher, who was Kaz, and he, I remember he was studying Eskrima or Arnis, what Robin has, his rattan sticks that he carries around. So that's how Robin fights. So he was studying that. I don't know if it was for the game or, I think he's half Asian. He might be full. I don't know. I just consider him Asian. I don't think, oh, you're half Asian, you're half Filipino. I'm just like, you're Asian, dog. You look Asian to me. You got Asian. I think his mom is Japanese. Maybe his dad was in the Navy or Marines or something, stationed in Japan. So I remember seeing pictures of him on his Instagram where he's like mentioned something about living in Japan as a kid or something. I thought he's Asian to me, right? Half whatever, right? Bro, you look Asian. Whenever they talk about Asians in Hollywood, you always tag yourself in that. You got the AAPI hashtag, right? You Asian to me, dog. It's all good though. But anyway, so that's so support the game if you like the dude who played Cass. Anyway, getting back to this, so right, this whole, there's always a kid, and there's usually something special about that kid, and I'm telling y'all, like, the little Omega, she shot the sniper rifle out of a sharpshooter's hand, right? It was a perfectly aimed shot, and at the end of the episode, like, Hunter Rambo is like, yo man, who taught you how to shoot? She's like, that's the first time I ever held a blaster. It's the first time I ever fired a blaster. She's got the force, y'all. I'm telling you. She's got the force. This is why, and Prince, you think everybody has the force. This is why I think I didn't read the EU, all that stuff, but I remember coming across something. I thought there were two clone troopers who were twins, right? And this sounds fun. They're clones. Obviously, they're all twins. These dudes were literally twins, right? And I think they were force sensitive, or maybe it was just one dude who was force sensitive. And I remember he looked like the Rambo guy, Hunter, right? And I think it was like Clone X or something. I don't remember. It's in the comic book, right? Those of y'all who read all old Clone Wars comic books, you probably know what I'm talking about. I didn't read them. I just, one day while I was working on another video back in the day, just started clicking around on Wikipedia, and I came across it, and I just remember a little bit that, I got that Cliff Clavin thing going on from Cheers, right? Is I remember reading about a clone trooper who was force sensitive, and I thought he looked like Hunter, right? And so the Bad Batch is like, well, Hunter is not force sensitive, but he's got a Jedi's reflexes, he's got Jedi senses, right? He's been genetically engineered that way. And I'm like, well, what if they messed around and they literally created a force sensitive clone? Not like, oh, well, they introduced, just them messing around. They created this other defective clone like the rest of these guys. And it's like, well, this one turned out to be a girl and she's got the force. And the first thing I thought was, what if she grows up to be Rey's mother? That would be interesting. Like, Rey's got force sensitivity on both sides, sort of, right? Her father obviously wasn't, but his Palpatine's clone is like, well, the force runs strong in certain families, certain bloodlines. It didn't work out for Palpatine's father. The cosmic force worked it that way because then, so Palpatine's plan would succeed. But then him through natural means meets, Rey's mother. If she's strong with the force and it's in his bloodline, like it's in his DNA, right? And then, the force manifests itself through Rey. She's extremely strong with the force, not just because of Palpatine, but also from her mother's bloodline. And there was a video I wanted to do last spring, about why Rey was the only person who could defeat Palpatine, because I remember people were freaking out before the Rise of Skywalker that Rey would be more powerful than Yoda. I don't look at Jedi as this person more powerful than this person. The way Luke Skywalker described it to one of his students, he was like, the Force is like a door, right? Some people are born with that door and it's just wide the F open, right? And it's just blasting through. I'm the Force and I'm coming all like the Kool-Aid man bursting through the wall. Who wants Kool-Aid, right? He said that's the way it is with Ben Solo. He said some people, the door is open just a crack. It's just a crack and the Force trickles through. He said, but in time with the right training, right, everybody can open that door all the way wide. And that idea is what initially people had when Star Wars first came out, is anybody can be a Jedi, right? The Force is strong in my family, like Luke said, like he described with that door analogy, right? This is in the rise of Kylo Ren, fall of Ben Solo. What was that, a 4-episode series? This was like the black chick. She was jealous of Ben when Luke was training his students, and Ben Solo ends up killing her. But he's like, she doesn't understand why he's so advanced, why he picks up everything so easily, right? So I just thought about, like, some people, the doors open a crack. Some people is closed shut, right? They gotta figure out how to just turn the doorknob and get it open, right? Just so they can get the door cracked a little bit, right? But it's not a power levels thing like Dragon Ball. Yeah, midi-chlorians this, but I mean, also in the Plagueis novel, right, which some people like to argue with me when I say, oh yeah, that EU stuff, that legend stuff doesn't matter. No, but George Lucas authorized it. Yeah, well, you know what, if George Lucas authorized it, then the Plagueis novel, when Plagueis was experimenting, doing all the stuff on midi-chlorians, he mentioned this one species, and they had a high midi-chlorian count, but they couldn't use the Force. They couldn't use the Force. So it's like, you know what, you might have a high midi-chlorian count, but it doesn't matter if if you can't use the Force, you're not the force won't manifest itself through you, or you can't speak to it, you can't touch it, right? All the midi-chlorians in the galaxy won't help you, right? So, the midi-chlorians communicate with the force. Everyone has them. Some people have more, but you might have a whole lot, but they're just like, we, no signal, no signal, so it doesn't matter, right? So I don't think they manipulated midi-chlorians or anything in this girl, but I just feel like, the force, where there's life, there's the force, right? You've got all these clone troopers, all these clones and clone embryo. There's just life everywhere, right? And Yoda hinted at this in like one of the first episodes. It might have been the first episode of the Clone Wars. Wasn't the first episode with Yoda? And he's like on that planet, and they're in a race to negotiate with the leader of the planet, and Ventress is there, right? And Yoda's got like, his little small fire team of clone troopers, and he's telling them like, you guys are all individuals, and it's like, no, we're not. We're just clones. We don't mean anything. We're expendable. And Yoda's like, no, on the outside, you might all have the same faces, but in the Force, you're all individuals. You're all different, right? So, we think of the clones as, we have, like I said, I don't know any of the clones. I know Cody and Rex. We got this show about clones. I don't even know their names except for Rambo dude, Echo. Echo wasn't even in their batch with them. He was a regular clone, and he did a heroic thing, and they managed to save him, put him back together, right? He's just really a cyborg, right? You got fake Mr. T right here, right? So, you got all this life, and I feel like this girl Omega, there's some other stuff too. Go back and watch the episode when the sniper dude was getting ready to go, and Tarkin had them like turn up his inhibitor chip, so he's like hard out. I can't disobey an order. He's basically Tarkin's executor at this point, because I imagine Tarkin only wants him to execute his brothers, right? The other members of the Bad Batch. That's his only purpose, because that's the kind of utilitarian person Tarkin is. And then if he's like, does he have another chip where I can make him turn some tricks for me? No, well then get rid of him. They won't have that kind of Tarkin in the kids show. If they do an adult show, y'all gonna find out the truth about Will Huff Tarkin. Right? Krennic wasn't about to play ball with him. And I do mean play ball. That's why I had to get rid of Krennic. I ain't never gonna get off of Tarkin. Ever. Y'all just gonna have to accept it. Tarkin jokes for days. Right? So yeah, I think that they gotta replace Sharpshooter, whatever his name is. Fennec Shan is gonna come into play there, right? We might see a dueling snipers scenario. And that little girl, I'm not saying she's gonna be a Jedi, but I'm telling you, like, she's got the Force, right? The IQ dude already said like she had heightened senses, and she's got heightened senses because the rest of us do, right? But I think it's gonna turn into a situation where it's like she's got the Force, or she's got all of their abilities, right? So she's like the super clone out of, now I'm just saying it would make sense to me that she has the Force, right? But she's already extremely intelligent. She's got Hunter's heightened senses. She's got the sharpshooter dude's sharpshooting skills. Is his name Wrecker? Mr. T. We haven't seen her like possess unnatural strength, right? I haven't seen that, and she doesn't have like this berserker, I want to fight and blow everything up type personality. But if she uses the Force, she can like heighten her strength through the Force, right? Vader's done it. It's kind of a dark side thing, but like Luke Skywalker said in a little kids book, Children are born with, they don't have an affinity to the light side, or they're just neutral in the force. So, it's like Baby Yoda force choking um uh Gina Carano's character. What's her name? I didn't see. I told you I haven't been following anything. All right, but he force choked Gina, right? And he's on the dark side. And it's not a video game Star Wars theory like, it's a light side ability and dark. The force choke is not. It's just telekinesis, right? That's all it is. You constrict somebody's windpipe. You're using telekinesis, right? You could use the same way that you do the force choke. You do that to massage somebody's heart who, might be having going into cardiac arrest or something, to save them, right? Same thing, right? Same idea, right? Force lightning, the way it was described was you're reaching out with pure hate, through the force, which is what Rey did in The Rise of Skywalker. But, does that mean, you're falling to, you have hate? You're, hate, that's a dark, hate is on the path to the dark side, but it's in the moment. You might be angry in the moment, but then it passes. And the dark side is about when you continuously make that choice. But one time, it's not like crack. You smoke crack one time and you're hooked, right? Now, I mean, when we talk about being seduced by the dark side, yes, you do it one time and you like that feeling and you go back and you keep going back, and the next thing you know, you're hooked on it. You're stuck, right? But this girl, I don't know. We'll just have to watch her and see how her story plays out. Now, let's move on to the High Republic. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the High Republic. When I first heard about the High Republic, this was like when I first heard about it, when Jason Ward was talking about it, before The Rise of Skywalker was even out, I was like, oh man, so this is going to be like video games and books and movies and it's like the Star Wars Avengers, and everybody has new force abilities, and they have their one special ability, and these like superhero Jedi, and they're going into the unknown regions and fighting like Sith gods and gods of the dark side and all. And I was like, oh man, this sounds like it might be dope. And then we got the announcement, and I was like, I was very underwhelmed. Like, I don't know about this. I did a video, the High Republic might be better than the sequel saga, but I'm not really sold on it. And then I was like, well, I'll give it a chance. The first book was going to come out on my birthday, and I was like, well, it's coming out on my birthday. That'll be a cool little gift to myself. Enjoy this new direction Star Wars is headed in. Then we got, we got the rise of Kylo Ren, the fall of Ben Solo, and they teased the High Republic, right? Like they went to this temple, and they're like, this temple dates back to the High Republic, and Lord Santeca was there, and they find this holocron. It belonged to Avar Kriss, who's kind of like the I can't think of a better term than the Captain America of the High Republic, even though Yoda's there, but Yoda's kind of off being Yoda, right? She's kind of the hot stuff, right? She's got, she's got battle meditation. It's not battle meditation that she has. She can link and connect minds, like all the Jedi's minds, and she can create the Jedi internet or something. I don't know. It's a cool ability, right? Like Rey calling on all of the Jedi. Avar Kriss, that's what she does. She calls on all of the Jedi, right? All of the living Jedi. So, it's like, we kind of get to see what Rey was trying to do when she was trying to connect to all the Jedi, past and present, in The Rise of Skywalker. That's what Avar Chris does, but she does it with ease, right? And then we get introduced to I think it's Elzar Mann, and he and Avar came up together, like you know from Padawans to Jedi Knights, and he's experimenting on all these new ways to use the Force and this and that. And it turns out that the thing that we heard, where these Jedi have these different abilities, that it's kind of true. And it's kind of like they all have their own special power, right? Just like superheroes, like the Avengers or something. They all have this special skill. It's all the Force, but they all have these different ways of using the Force. Some of them are more talented at things than others. And it's a really cool thing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go through the whole because I haven't read all of the books. I actually have only read the first one. And that was the thing. The announcement that came out a year ago that Alex and Molly got invited to, because they're the chosen ones, chosen by Lucasfilm, is we're riding with them, and I'm not jealous at all. I mean, they worked hard to get to where they are, and it is what it is, right? But when that announcement came, I was like, I'm kind of underwhelmed. And now we're finding out that was just phase one, right? There's a phase two where they're going to get even deeper. Now, I said I hadn't read the books. It's not because I didn't like them. One, we moved. The other thing was, like, my credit card got stolen. Somebody signed me up for some Disney movie club. I never signed up for it. My bank flagged the transaction immediately, and they were like, "Hey man, what's up with this Disney? Did you do that?" And I was like, "I don't even know what Disney movie club is. I have Disney Plus." And they were like, "Oh, well, if you didn't authorize it, then we can handle that for you." And I was like, "Yeah, go on and handle that for me." And I didn't realize handling it meant, they were canceling my my cards. So, that kind of thing happens. But usually when it happens, I'm in Nashville, and those of y'all who know in Nashville know where I live in Bordeaux. My bank is right down the street from Vanderbilt Hospital. So what? Good 10-minute drive. Go, 5 minutes inside the bank. Boom, boom, boom. I'm back out. Got me a new card. I'm good to go. But I'm in Thailand, and I'm gonna have to start banking with a military bank again, cause my bank was like, we'll send your card wherever your address is on file. And well, on file you can't put an international address. And I'm just going, this happened in January, so just make a long story short, I just got a new check debit card, ATM card. It's been like two weeks. So I had like no access to my bank account for like 2 months. It sucked. It's especially you're in a foreign, in another country on the other side of the world. Sucked. So that's another reason I hadn't read a lot of High Republic books, was I could not buy them. Now, hey, if somebody out there, Prince, I really want to know what you think about the High Republic. Hey man, if one of y'all want to make a donation, start sending me the books. There's a way to donate them on Kindle. I don't know. Hey man, I won't turn it down. The fact that it's a gift from someone, a subscriber, I will definitely read them as quickly as I can, because I actually enjoyed the first book. When I got to the end, I was hooked. I started on Justina Ireland's book. It's a kid's book. I thought it was pretty cool. It's Vernestra Rowe, the little green chick. Is she a I can't remember if she's the same species as what's her name? The chick that turned on Ahsoka. They usually tattoo their faces. I can't remember if she's one of them and she just didn't get the face tattoos. I don't remember, but I had just gotten to the point where she was a Jedi Knight, but the dude with her, is that Emery Kentaros? Was he the guy? Yeah, because he's got the Padawan braid, so I'm thinking his master got killed. Um, and they had to protect a little black chick who's like some kind of genius, like genius engineer or something. Um, I was like, I'm still literally in the beginning of the book, but they have to deal with the Nile. The Nile attacked their ship. That's like their transport ship, and they're dealing with the Nile from another point of view. I've been seeing like videos, or not videos, but articles coming up about the Nile, and is the guy who's the leader of the Nile, is he Darth Plagueis? And I'm like, why are people so obsessed with Darth Plagueis? Like, when they announced the Acolyte, they're like, oh, maybe she's gonna be Darth Plagueis, and I'm like, why can't you guys just enjoy the story, right? The Nile, at the end of the first High Republic book, they hinted at like there's something bigger out there. What is this stick this guy has? How, does he have the Force? Is there some other dark side group out there that's bigger? Like, and then I mentioned Lord Santeca was with Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo when they found the holocron that belonged to Avar Kriss. How does she get out there in the unknown regions of space, right? Is this story going to go to the unknown regions? You got the dude who runs the Nile, and he's got a member of the Santeca family. She's got some kind of ability to open up hyperspace lanes, which is how the Nile are operating as pirates who literally appear out of nowhere because this lady's like, they got the dark web. Well, they got the dark web of hyperspace lanes, and hyperspace travel is still kind of in its infancy, it seems like. I always thought that before to travel through hyperspace lanes you needed the Force, right? You had to have the Force. Like, this is something the Jedi did, and that's how you have to. That's what the Chiss do. They have Force sensitive navigators. That's what that Skywalker name is in the Chiss language, right? Is their Force sensitive navigators, because they literally need their foresight to be able to navigate these hyperspace lanes that are constantly changing. Loris, we find out the Santecas, they're like, they get wealthy because they map out hyperspace routes and then sell them, right? And then they had this relative, and she could literally just see the hyperspace lanes, right? So this dude is preserving her, and yeah, so it's wild. It started out slow, the first book, and then by the time I got to the end, I was like, yo, I'm hooked. And I definitely want to read Claudia Gray's book, because Claudia Gray, I've read almost all of her Star Wars books, and they've all been good. Whatever I think she did one on Leia. I haven't read that one. Uh, I don't know if she's doing one of the. I guess there's a trilogy for Padme. There's a lot of, from what I've heard, there's a lot of good stuff in the Padme books that deals with like more on Palpatine, and then I think apparently at some point Padme tried to have Shmi freed from slavery or whatever, but I don't know, but I'm just really not that interested in reading about Padme. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but I'm like, if there's not Jedi lightsabers in the Force, I'm kind of not interested. I'm really not that interested in Padme. Mm. I'm not even gonna really. I'm apologizing to the people who love Padme and love the character, but I'm just like, she, it sucks, but her whole purpose in the story was to die and facilitate Anakin's fall to the dark side. All right, I had, we obviously have Cole Young, Mortal Kombat in the thumbnail, so I definitely got to say something about Mortal Kombat. Get over here. Mortal Kombat came out here in Thailand April the 8th. So I saw it like 2 weeks before people did in the US. Some people, that's not fair. And I'm like, well, you know what? All like most movies come out earlier over here. Maybe because, I'm 12 hours ahead. So, and then the movie theaters open up early. So, if I go to the first showing of a movie, at 10 o'clock, well, it's 10 p.m. Like, if I see it on Thursday at 10 a.m., it's 10 p.m. for most people, in the US. So, they got to wait until 6 p.m. or whatever when they start showing the movies in the US. First showing 6 or 7, something like that. And it's like, man, by the time y'all see it, I'm like, I've had enough time where I could have seen the movie 3 times already. All right, so I saw Mortal Kombat the first day it came out over here. I really enjoyed it. I've seen, my bro Geekdom is like, oh, Sonic the Hedgehog is still the best video game at. Look, man, people like what they like. One of my friends is specifically martial arts movies. His critic, reviewer, I think he said he was getting a press screener of this movie, of Mortal Kombat. I don't even know how you get press screeners. Like, I'm like, yo, man, I'll like do real, especially martial arts movies on my other channel that's devoted to martial arts and for martial arts geeks. Actually, I already had that Well Go USA. I got to reach back out to them because they were sending me trailers and everything of movies, and they were like, "Yo, we give you permission to post the trailers," but YouTube was like flagging the trailers. I was getting like copyright claims, and I'm like, "Wait a minute now. If somebody in the marketing department sent me the official trailer, why am I getting hit with copyright claims?" And I'd like try to dispute them. I'm like, yo, man, this person at Well Go USA sent me the trailer to post it, and they're like, they're not. So I don't know. Like, I don't know who. If I haven't reached back out to them. We were supposed to talk actually last year in January, and I started the apprenticeship about because I said I don't really like that on my Star Wars channel. These videos aren't getting a lot of views, or they will sometimes, but all the views are coming from like over here in Asia. And I was debate. That's when I first was debating starting a new channel that was like martial arts, Star Wars, Marvel, and now I've like just got this martial arts channel, and the views come from everywhere. It's only like 25% of the views from the U.S. So I need to get back in touch with them and find out from other people, yo, man, if there's like a martial arts movie, martial arts theme, I want to post it over there. It's not just strictly a martial arts geeks channel. It's really a martial arts channel, but it's something different, right? Something different from to bust up the monotony from other, talking about MMA and Tai Chi and Bruce Lee and everything else that I do, something a little bit different, just to have fun, right? Because that's what I do with my martial arts friends. We be talking about Mortal Kombat, and a lot of my martial arts friends didn't like the movie, and I don't know why. Some of them said the fights weren't good, and I'm like, well, like this is rooted in the Mortal Kombat world, so like Liu Kang kept sweeping Kano, and it's the sweep from that he does in the game, right? So some of it was kind of cheesy, but it's like this is set in the Mortal Kombat world. They got to have stuff that from the video game in the movie. They just can't do anything, whatever they want, right? Some people are like, it wasn't better than the 95 movie. I'm like, and that had to do with they didn't like Ludi Lin's Liu Kang. They liked the Robin Cho Liu Kang. And if you've seen my review, my non-spoiler review over on Golden Bell Training Channel, I brought that up. I was like, this Liu Kang was not like, and it's partly because Liu Kang is the lead character. He's the hero in the old Mortal Kombat movies and in the games, right? And I played Mortal Kombat. I had the first one. I rented Mortal Kombat 2. I might have rented Mortal Kombat 3. And then after that, I tapped out. I think I got whatever Mortal Kombat came out on PlayStation 2. I think I had Shaolin Knights. I think I had it because I played it, but I played it like for one day. And I know I didn't rent it. I must have bought it and then just played it once and didn't touch it again. I might have bought it to play with my little brother, and then we just didn't play it anymore. Like, we just got busy, right? And that was back when all we cared about was basketball, and I was in grad school too. I would have been in grad school around that time. So yeah, I think. Anyway, so I never really played Shaolin Knights, even though it looked like a fun game. I've just never really been into Mortal Kombat games after the age of 13, 14. So I wasn't really attached to anything going in. I'm like, oh, it's Mortal Kombat. It looks dope. And my man Lewis Tan, I'm a big fan of Lewis Tan. I'm glad to see him getting his shine on. But before then, Lewis Tan was a guy you could have a conversation with him on Twitter. When he was in Into the Badlands, you could talk to him on Twitter. You tweet him, he'd respond back, and he wouldn't go back and forth because he's still a busy dude. But he, hey man, what's up? Thanks for sharing my thing. Thanks for watching the show, whatever, right? Yeah, I probably could have interviewed him on my channel if I'd have. Hey man, can I interview on my YouTube channel? Back Into the Badlands days, right? Lewis Tan first got in the spotlight because of the controversy over the immortal Iron Fist, right? He was the actor who auditioned for the movie. He's like, yo, I'm a martial artist. My father is a martial artist, right? We've been in movies. We've been doing TV stuff, matter of fact, Sherman Augustus, who played in Into the Badlands, a former NFL player, studied under Lewis Tan's father at one point. Lewis Tan is connected as far as like martial arts people in Hollywood and in LA in that scene, right? And so he auditioned for the part of Danny Rand, and the people who were over Marvel TV at the time that were doing the Netflix shows were like, yo, Danny Rand can't be Asian. And they're lost, right? We got Finn, what's his name, played Loras from Game of Thrones. And it's like, I saw this dude give somebody a blowjob in Game of Thrones, and I can't unsee it. Even if it wasn't real, I can't unsee it. I can't unsee his character, right, from Game of Thrones, right? So I'm seeing, the Flower Knight doing bad looking kung fu, right, in Iron Fist, and Jessica Henwick saved that show, right? If they did a season 3, right, in Defenders, he didn't look bad because you had Daredevil doing his ninja thing, and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones running around throwing everybody all over the place, beating the crap out of people. So it's like you didn't really notice that Danny sucked. Right? And then you got Elektra running around, who was bad, really her action scenes were Laura Mary Kim, who did the motion capture for Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars, the finales. And then I think she was the stunt double for Rosario Dawson in The Mandalorian. I'm sure Rosario Dawson did some of the fight stuff, some of the stunt work stuff, but I ain't appreciate how Rosario like tried to make it sound like she did all the fights and everything. I don't believe that she did everything. I know she didn't. I mean, if I find out that she did, hey man, awesome. That's great. It was Laura Mary Kim. It was Laura Mary Kim fighting Lateef Crowder when they had their little Din Djarin versus Ahsoka. I don't believe that Rosario Dawson did any. She might have run around with the lightsabers. That's it. It was Laura Mary Kim. Final answer. That's what I'm sticking with. Right. But wouldn't surprise me if Lewis Tan and Laura Mary Kim are, home girls, homeboys, homies. Right. Getting back to this Mortal Kombat thing, right, is the big selling point from me listening, following Lewis, was everybody did their own fights. That's been a big thing. That's been something he's been big about. Is it, we need more Asian representation. One, we need people who can really fight. Okay, you bring in this big name actor, but they can't fight. That was one of the things. It was kind of an inside joke, right, on and Into the Badlands, that I'd been seeing him John back and forth with some of the other people who played in it, right? As they moved on, AMC has 100 different Walking Dead zombie shows, but they couldn't promote Into the Badlands better, right? Because I had no idea Into the Badlands was inspired by the Monkey King story, Journey to the West. And then now I want to go back and I'm like, wait a minute, who's Sun Wukong? Who's Tripitaka? Right? Sanzo, Sonny, is he the Monkey King or is he Tripitaka? Well, if he's and his name is Sanzo, that's Tripitaka, right? Oh, y'all gonna have to get used to. I'm getting ready to talk about Journey to the West a whole lot, cause I don't know if my wife is watching right now, but if I had to guess, I would say she's probably watching something about Journey to the West, right? That is like, and something else that's based on Journey to the West, Dragon Ball. Goku, Sun Wukong. What's it, Sun Wukong in Chinese? What's his name in Japanese? Son Goku. In Thai, Sun Mong Kong, right? Uh, so Journey to the West is big in in Asian culture, and stories that are inspired by that are everywhere. Um, really, this Mortal Kombat movie is kind of, that'd be an interesting way to. I'm gonna have to think on that one, right? But my, the point is, Lewis Tan has made a big thing about people being able to fight. People in these projects being able to do their own fights, and it kind of hurt my feelings to see some of my friends who were critics and stuff, experts on these martial arts movies, say that they didn't like the fights. They had issues with the fights. And maybe some of y'all feel the same way, but I'm like, well, it wasn't like an actor and then, oh, now we're going to bring in this stunt person who's world class and awesome, right? It's like this person who's the character, or they're like, oh, the acting is bad. Well, some of these people, English is not really their first language, some of them. And but look at what they can do, right? Look at what they did, not CGI and wires and a stunt double. They did that, right? And I mean, people must love it. It was the number one movie when it had its U.S. debut. I think it was still number one 2 weeks in the box office. Of course, I understand there's not a lot of competition. Things are just now starting to open up again. But it did amazing numbers on HBO Max. When people go back and keep watching it, I don't know. Joe Taslim was amazing. Of course, he was amazing in the Warriors series. I didn't know that Joe Taslim was that dude until I saw him in The Warrior, right? Because I'm so used to seeing him in movies with Iko Uwais and the Raid crew. They were in Star Wars Project, and I've had people chew me. I get chewed out over the dumbest stuff. I had a dude chew me out on Instagram because, oh man, they didn't even do nothing in the Force Awakens, and you like everything Disney does, and you didn't even say. What the fuck am I supposed? Man, I was trying not to cuss. What am I supposed to say? They were there to make a cameo, right? It's like, oh, what did you expect? Did you want them to be the Knights of Ren? Well, guess what? The Knights of Ren all got their butts kicked by Kylo Ren in The Rise of Skywalker. So you want them to be there to be the Knights of Ren. They would have had a couple of cool fight scenes, but then Kylo Ren destroys all of them because the Knights of Ren don't know how. They've never been trained in the dark side. They just, you know, they use it, but they've had no formal training in it. They just use it out of instinct, right, to kill people. Is basically what they do. They just run around killing people, right, for their own amusement, right? They're just goons, right? What were they gonna add to the story? They were there just to look cool, make a cameo. That was it, right? J.J. Abrams liked them. He think they're like the Raid movies. Hey, why don't you guys come and make a cameo, show up, and that's it. And what am I supposed to say? How would that have contributed to the story? I actually made a response video and that dude said that, but I like cussed him out all through the response, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to post this. I don't want this to go up on my channel, right? I'm not trying to put that mess. That, and it was like right when the Ahmad, um what's his name? Ahmad Arbery, the kid that got shot for jogging in Georgia, and he was like, "Oh yeah, and make sure you go out and jog your 3 miles or something." And I mean, I was like, "Yo, man, like we're under lockdown where I am, and I don't know how much attention you pay, but I'm not in the U.S. Like I can't go out and jog 3 miles, and you're like ordering me to do something that I cannot do." And you're not important enough for me to risk getting arrested, getting fined, whatever, because and he was in New York at the time, and I'm like, and I really don't think you should be out either, as serious as the situation is where you are, right? I mean, y'all can say, oh well, it's only the small percentage, um whatever, but I saw Lauren was on here early. I can't see the chat now because y'all are literally seeing my desktop, right? But Lauren is, I don't know if she wants me to say this, but she's in New York, and I'll just say she had family members who were affected by uh you know the first wave, right? And I'm sure she's not the only person on the channel. So, you can feel whatever way you want to feel about it. You can argue with me in comments. I've had a few of you, but people who are subscribed to this channel and regularly interact with the channel, support me on stuff, they've been affected. So if you're going to say, oh, well, Prince is not that big a deal, your feelings don't change the fact that other people in this community have been impacted, in ways that are irreversible by this thing. And I would appreciate it if you would have the decency to show respect to them, right? You don't have to respect the fact that I'm in a different country where the laws are different, right? Where if I'm outside and not wearing a face mask right now while hospitals are turning people away, and we have COVID camps where they're sending people, and if you're not wearing a face mask, there's a $600 fine now. You don't want to respect that's fine, but show some respect to the folks who, like I said, have lost family members, from this thing that is shut down the world, but luckily you guys in the US have a vaccine and things are opening back up, and maybe these drug companies will give away the patent to the vaccine so that some of the countries who are being hammered now can get their populations vaccinated and get the world back open, get the world's economy back on track, right? But anyway, we're talking about Mortal Kombat. Like I said, I really liked this movie. I really enjoyed it. My ninja Louis Tan finally got to show out. He's been offered and accepted a part, and it's funny. He's gonna be like this Asian James Bond character, and I say it's funny because one time I tweet before Mortal Kombat came out, I was like, dude, you're gonna be like the next Bruce Lee. He didn't respond to the tweet. I might clip this and post it to Twitter and tag Lewis in it, right? But I told Lewis, you're going to be the next Bruce Lee after Mortal Kombat. And now he's going to be in this show, this series, where he's like an Asian Bruce Lee. This is something I'm going to talk about. I'm doing this whole Bruce Lee series on the Golden Belt Training, my martial arts channel. I've got this whole series, Bruce Lee Explained. Everything that you would ever want to know about Bruce Lee is what I'm going to be talking about there. And it's like, oh, Bruce Lee's so great. It's sometimes I'm going to say some stuff that people might not like to hear about Bruce Lee, but it's because I love Bruce Lee so much that I want people not to spread these urban legends and mistruths that are being perpetuated online, right? But Bruce Lee, when he came to Hollywood, you see in the Bruce Lee story movie that he was offered the part of Kato in the Green Hornet. That's not true. Bruce Lee was initially signed to, I think, Warner Brothers. Was it Warner Brothers? No, Warner Brothers wasn't there yet. Whoever produced the Green Hornet series, initially he was gonna be in his own either a movie or a series, and he was gonna be this. They pitched it to him as you're gonna be the Asian Bruce Lee, right? It was gonna be a detective series, but a spy detective type thing. He was like, well, what happened to that? It didn't happen. But guess what? Louis Tan is going to be this Asian James Bond type character. And when I read it, I'm like, I'm not going to say I spoke it into existence. I'm just going to tell y'all, like, I was like, dude, you're going to be like the next Bruce Lee after this movie comes out. And then I'm reading, and I'm not like, oh man, see, I called it. And I'm like, it's not anything like that. It's me. I wish this good thing for somebody to happen. And then when I read it, I'm like, yeah, because I'm a fan of this guy. I just want to see this dude blow up and make it. Like, not out of any benefit to me. Yeah, I mean, he did they did Wu Assassins. They're not doing a season 2. Instead they're doing a movie. They filmed that here in Bangkok. Louis Tan was in quarantine. He got out of quarantine right when we left Bangkok, because he was talking about trying to work out in his hotel. And I was like, man, I wish you weren't in quarantine. I'd say, hey man, hop in the cab, come over. I got kettlebells here at the crib. You know, let's get in a workout. You know, I bet I can show you some stuff that you might not know. You know, but I'm a kettlebell expert. It's nothing like that. It's just, it is what it is, right? I've been training with kettlebells since 2008. I should know some things, right? But I was like, yeah, man, come to the crib. Let's get a workout in. I'm a fan. You know, I won't charge you anything. You ain't even got to put me on social media. I just want to meet you, dog. Right? Trying to get like you, dog. Right? So I'm happy for the brother. And I hope his show does well. You know, he's been in Playboy magazine, Big Interview, Esquire, right? And I'm happy that people are showing him love. I'm kind of sad though, because it's like, man, like he's gonna have so many fans and stuff, he won't be able to keep up. Like I said, back in the day, you could have a conversation with this man on Twitter, and you know, it's not going to be that same way anymore. But that's what happens when, you know, that's why they call them stars, because they high up in the sky and you can't reach them, right? Unless, you know, you get in your rocket ship and you become the same, right? Your star has to shine bright enough for them to be able to see you and stand out. That's just the way it is, right? You know, Bruce Lee has a thing about, you know, I don't like how they call them stars, right? Because a star, it's not real. It's like an illusion, right? I'm working on a video where I'm gonna have an excerpt of that, right? But Louis Tan's character in Mortal Kombat also has this special connection to what I do, right? So I said, like, my first YouTube channel where I was really trying to get serious about YouTube and martial arts and fitness was Golden Bell Training. And I started out talking about this when I was talking about the fitness stuff. So, you know, I know this is a picture from a Screen Rant article. Screen Rant, sometimes I don't know about some of the stuff they post, right? They had an article, Lewis Tan's Arcana Power Explained or whatever, the truth about Lewis Tan or Cole Young's gold armor. Now, this is what I see. I hadn't read what they had to say, but this is what I see. This is what I know, right? Is when I'm watching the movie, I was like, oh snap, he's got gold armor, right? Now, and if you haven't seen the movie or you saw it, didn't catch it, right? At one point, he was like the world champion in whatever MMA organization Cole Young belonged to, but he kind of fell off his game. Now he's like this journeyman fighter. He's fighting in these little small promotions for a couple $100 every week or whatever, to make ends meet. He's married, got a teenage daughter. So it's kind of like he's on the downside of his career, and we see him taking a beating, right? He's taking a beating in the MMA, taking a beating to Kung Lao and uh, uh, Liu Kang are trying to train him up, and then Kano discovers his arcana power. He's got the laser eye or whatever. He's getting beat by Kano. This dude's taking a beating, right? So then he finally taps in his arcana power as Goro is sent to kill his family and him. He's got this golden armor. What did I say earlier? I was like, golden bell skill is a Shaolin skills like iron shirt, but golden bell skill is like done internally. Iron shirt is external. Wei Gong, golden bell Nagong. What's the name of my training business? My martial arts channel, Golden Bell, right? So I'm watching the movie. I'm like, oh snap, his power is the Golden Bell. And the only other I've only seen one other movie where they show Golden Bell skill. You can probably I think it's on Netflix. It's on Asia Netflix. I have a different because I'm in a different region. My Netflix is different. It's a movie with Donnie Yen and two other guys, Nicholas C. and another guy. The two other guys were like pop stars. Like I think Mortal Kombat did this too. I think the dude that played Kung Lao, I think he was a pop star, and I don't know if that's what's his name, Max Huang. I have to read up on that. But there's this thing in a lot of like the newer action movies out of Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is just a small city, right? And all these Hong Kong movies come out, so you start to see the same people in all the movies. Andy Lau, one of them, right? You start to see all the same people in all these Cantonese movies that come out of Hong Kong. It's like I said, it's like New York. It's like all these movies come out of New York City, and after a while, you start to see all the same people because it's a big city, but there's only so many people who are actors that are in these getting these parts, these big parts. So you start to see the same people, but the other two guys, they were like pop stars, and a lot of the pop singers uh end up in these martial arts movies and these, spy, not spy, like gangster movies. They're like martial arts gangster movies because, I mean, what are, you got these gang members and then they break out some kung fu, right? Tiger Dragon Gate is the movie. And the dude who had the nunchucks, they get like some special treatment before they go in Act 3 fight the big bad guy. And the nunchuck guy had gold, like he's spinning his nunchucks and everything, and he ends up forming a golden bell. And the bad guy fighting him is trying to hit him, but he keeps hitting the bell, right? So that was a cool way to do it. But Golden Bell, Louis Tan's character, Cole Young, literally has a golden bell, and then he's got these golden tonfas that are swords too, or something. And it's just really cool. Like I just thought it was really cool that they would give him that ability. I kind of didn't like how his armor looked because like I saw behind the scenes, it was like a rubber suit, and it looked like a rubber suit as he's fighting in it, which kind of took me out. But I just chalked that up to maybe they blew their load on Goro, right? You got the CGI stuff you have to do, to have him fight Goro, some of the laser stuff, and you don't really know how this movie's gonna do. They had to come back and do reshoots in around like the pandemic stuff, and I'm not saying the movie was rushed, but if there's a sequel, I hope they make his thing look better. Um, I That's one of the things I wish they could CGI that it would look a lot better and it would be more comfortable on Lewis, because I've seen him, like peel that rubber suit off and it looked like it was hot. Filmed the movie in Australia. Um, I know the reshoots were done when it's summertime in Australia, because I think they did the reshoots. I can't remember. I can't remember now when they did the reshoots. Maybe it was winter over there. I don't remember. But I remember like following because at one point he was in Thailand. He was out here training Muay Thai, or not out here, but he was like around Phuket doing Muay Thai. And I think he naturally spends a lot of time in Thailand anyway. Um, and then he was in Australia filming Mortal Kombat. Um, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where to go back and look, but yeah, that's one of the things I really liked about the movie was there was also a hero's journey for Cole. Like there was the whole rejection of the call. He's got this birthmark. He's the chosen one, right? The chosen one. Every year, every time they'd had Mortal Kombat, the previous tournaments, Shang Tsung and his forces from Outworld, they cheat. But in the 10th Mortal Kombat, it was, the prophecy that the descendant of, the guy who's Scorpion would, be the one who, oh, well, he's the chosen one. And then he's like, nah, I don't know about this. And the whole time he's in denial. And then it's like, I can't get it. I can't tap into my hidden power. And then it's like, well, your story is about bloodlines and protecting the bloodline. And your bloodline is special, right? You're the descendant of Scorpion, right? And then so Prince Goro comes and attacks him and his family. And then that's where it is. It's family, right? That's what makes him special, is who his family is. And that's when he taps in, oh, well, my power is I'm the one who takes the beating, right? I take the beating, but then I can give it back, right? I take the beating from you. It doesn't hurt me, right? I got this golden bell. And if anything, it empowers me. It's what's inside of me that makes me powerful, right? On the outside, I just take beatings, right? I take it, I rope-a-dope you. Essentially, I rope-a-dope you, right? So that was that was really cool, and it was like touched me on a personal level, because I'm like, oh man, that's a golden bell skill. That's golden bell training, baby. And when I tell y'all, you might want to train Lee Chin if you want to be the closest thing to real life Jedi. Golden bell training is in Lee Chin. Let's say I didn't warn you. Waste y'all's time chasing around all this other stuff. All right, let's jump to this. So we got this Marvel Studios posted kind of this thing about the Infinity Saga wrapping up and what's to come this year, what's to come in phase 4. So we got a glimpse of the Eternals, and we got the title for Black Panther 2. We know that Fantastic Four is going to be part of phase 4. Phase 4 is going to so far go all the way out to 2023, so 2 years from now, with the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, right? And then we got the Marvels, so Captain Marvel 2. And I started out, I mentioned about the fandom menace, or these, these gamers, comics gate dorks, right? So Task, the old nerdy bastard, up to Task is a dude I follow for most of my comic book news and whatnot. So we've already got these people chirping out. I don't even know who Yellow Flash 2 is, but I mean, isn't Yellow Flash the bad one? So whoever they are, game over for Bree, right? So Captain Marvel 2, toxic nerds go to therapy. Why would you call yourself a toxic nerd? Like, you're already saying. So we got the title for this next Captain Marvel movie is not Captain Marvel 2, it's called The Marvels, right? And so, all these people, let's cancel Brie Larson. They complain about cancel culture, but they started, and Joe Rogan talked about this. They started a petition to cancel Brie Larson, to have her removed from Captain Marvel 2, have her removed as playing the role of Captain Marvel. And they were like, we want Captain Marvel replaced with what, like a queer black woman or something like that. And I'm like, so, you don't like her because she's woke or whatever. And I mean, what do you think you're going to get if you get that person? So now they're like claiming some kind of victory because, well, Brie Larson can't. Marvel is acknowledged. Kevin Feige has acknowledged that Brie Larson cannot carry a movie. She can't carry Captain Marvel 2. And I'm like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Like, this is what I say when I'm like, people are being intellectually dishonest. We always knew that, at least I always knew that Captain Marvel 2, the sequel, one, is it being written and directed by a black woman? And then we knew watching WandaVision that Teyana Paris, who is Black Captain Marvel or Spectrum or whatever name she's going to go by, Photon. I think she's going to go by Photon. Did Maria Rambeau, wasn't that her flight, the handle on her plane in Captain Marvel, her deceased mother? Um, like uh well, I lost my train of thought. I'll get it back. Yeah, we knew she was going to be in the movie, right? She started to develop her powers in WandaVision, and it's like, oh, well, we're going to see that how that plays out. Really, she's going to step into her powers and be a superhero, right? I think the way WandaVision ended was, is like, oh, yeah, somebody is been wanting to speak with you, right? And they tried to pitch this story back then that, oh, Monica Rambeau is gonna have beef with Carol, and they're gonna have it. They wanted them to fight it out. They thought that was gonna be the big cameo in WandaVision, where she'd get her powers, she'd become Photon, Spectrum, whatever, and she'd fight it out, and she'd take the Captain Marvel name after she beats the brakes off of Carol. I'm like, that's not gonna happen, right? She lost her mother during the snap. Maybe one of the reasons that Carol went off, or Captain Marvel went off on Thanos, was because she knew that Monica was one of the missing, right? And Maria's dead, right? Died of cancer. And she's like, I was off planet, and the two people who were the most special to me back on Earth are gone. I'm getting ready to beat the brakes off of Thanos, right? And now it's like, well, the blip happened, and Monica's aware that, I mean, Carol's aware that Monica's there, and maybe Monica's powers begin to manifest, and maybe somehow the fact that her powers might be linked to an infinity gem, the same way Carol's powers are linked to an infinity gem, right? You know, I know that Wanda, her magic ability was not granted to her by an infinity gem, the Mind Stone, but it's like we find, oh well, she was already a witch. was she the Scarlet Witch, or did, did exposure to the Infinity Gem, did that awaken that in her or make her fully aware of it? We don't know. But either way, somehow she's linked to an Infinity Gem. And so, Monica's powers awakening through exposure to whatever the chaos magic, or some energy signature, lingering radiation from the Mind Stone, right? Because it looked like that's how they were able to activate that the the white vision, right? I don't know what you call the white vision. Well, now he's just vision, right? But he's the white vision to me, right? Was, the same energy signature as the Mind Stone, right? So I don't know. Maybe Carol became aware. Maybe she's just, oh, Monica's alive. Oh, I've been monitoring, communicate. I don't know. But so they're gonna kind of have like this auntie play mom, aunt play auntie reunion, and a certain group are upset about that, and I'm like, well, because your theory didn't happen, your fan theory, that happened a lot with WandaVision. People were upset that their theories didn't happen, and I'm like, that speaks to a bigger problem. The fact that you guys are upset that some little theory you came up with didn't come to pass because you don't pay attention to the story. It's just, this is what I want to happen. What I want to happen didn't happen, right? And now it's, oh, well, we got to spin the narrative. It's Brie Larson can't carry the movie, and it's like, no, we always knew that Monica was going to be in Captain Marvel 2, and Miss Marvel was also going to be in Captain Marvel 2, right? And the fact that it's not a Carol Danvers movie doesn't say anything about Brie Larson not being able to carry the movie. I mean, if you think about it like a comic book, it's a team up, right? Are we saying that because Captain America, the Winter Soldier, had Scarlet Witch and introduced Falcon and had all these Hydra people, it had George the Leaper. I think his name is something else, but it seems like in the MCU his name is George the Leaper because, GSP, who I love GSP. GSP's in it, and then the Winter Soldier's in it, Bucky's in it. Does that mean that Chris Evans couldn't carry a movie, right? Captain America Civil War. You introduce Spider-Man and Black Panther and Helmut Zemo. Does that mean Chris Evans can't carry a Captain America movie, right? These are comic books, man. There's crossovers and cameos, right? We already had a movie that introduced Carol. Now Carol's off doing something else. She's inspired this little girl to be Miss Marvel. We're going to see that in the Miss Marvel series that'll introduce her, tell her story. Maybe they'll introduce Inhumans. I don't know if the Miss Marvel show will come out. Well, I was about to say, I don't know if it'll come out before Eternals, but I think they just wrapped up shooting in Bangkok before the COVID stuff went nuts over here. I'm hoping they did. And everybody made it back safely to wherever they need to be to either finish shooting or, next location. I don't know. So I imagine Miss Marvel won't be out. Miss Marvel will be sandwiched in between the Eternals and when the Marvels come out, right? But, I mean, you had characters within the MCU. Monica Rambeau is basically Carol's niece. And what did she say in Captain Marvel? I hope to join. I want to go up there with you one day. I want to go with you, Auntie Carol. I hope to join you up there, right? And it's like foreshadowing. Oh yeah, well, in the comic book history, you were the lady who was known as Captain Marvel, and then when they decided to make Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and they tried to stop making Carol Danvers' sexualized character run around a bathing suit with, and I think that's the big thing with some of these guys is they want, the voluptuous Miss Marvel running around in bathing suit and swimsuit, because I see guys all the time making, oh well, You know, why is her butt so flat and this and that? And I'm like, have you seen Brie Larson like working with her trainer to prepare for this movie? You can't do that. You can't do what she's doing, right? She would outwork you in the gym. So shut up. Like, I don't care. You're a geek. Stick with being a geek, or do something about it, right? Get in the gym, go outwork her, and then you can talk smack. I was like, I had a dude chirping at me about Daisy Ridley. I posted a video of her training to prepare for her role as Ray, right? And she's deadlifting like 180 pounds. And it's like, well, she weighs like 110 pounds. She's deadlifting like more than her own body weight, right? If we look at the ratio of her weight to what she's pulling, the dude who's chirping him, I was like, you can't do that. If we put the same ratio of your body weight to what's on the bar, you blow your back out. You won't even pull it. You making fun of her, right? Who cares, right? She's strong. She did the work, and she pulled it off on in the movie, right? You buy that this girl has been, on this desert climbing in and out of all around star destroyers, scavenging them, right? She did the work. Whether you liked her character or not, it doesn't change the fact she did the work, right? Carol Danvers did the work. Whether you like her acting or not, doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that she's an award-winning actress. And some of she's too stale. She's too frozen. She didn't. It's like, well, if you actually pay attention to the character in the movie, there's a reason she's kind of robotic and doesn't show emotions and doesn't smile, and she's kind of awkward because she's been brain screwed by the Kree, right? She doesn't know what to think. They basically programmed her, right? It's not until the very end of the movie that she kind of shakes off the shackles. And, like I said, I think some of these people, they just look for something to complain about in anything, right? I thought Captain Marvel was cool in Endgame, right? When she gets the Infinity Gauntlet from Peter, and he's like, I'm Spider-Man, I'm Peter Parker, and she's like, hey, Peter Parker. I thought that was cool, but you know what? I've seen some of Brie Larson's other movies, and I think she's a cool chick. I don't have any issues with her politics, and and since I mentioned that, this whole thing about Brie Larson says she doesn't want white dudes watching the movies. It's not what she said. People need to stop getting their information from talking points from people who don't even know how to report the news properly, right? And that's been a gripe of mine, not just with Star Wars people, with some of these young guys that have big channels in the Star Wars community and have report news, and they can't report the news accurately. It's like, that's a geek culture thing, right? I don't know about like these news people who strictly report news, but I see it a lot in geek culture channels, right? Here's this article, here's the news. And like, dude, all you need to do, somebody else has written this. All you got to do is read the story. This is all you, or at least put it in your own words, right? But they'll report it, and it's like, that's not what that says at all. That's not what this means, right? So I shouldn't say put it in your own, because they'll put their own spin on it, and they'll spin it into something else completely. I see that a lot. That's one reason I like, it's like, well, I'm just not going to watch them. One, because I can go and read your source for myself. That's always been my stance, is like, and I got that from some doctor that I used to work for, doing presentations in high school on lab research and stuff. And he's like, Prince, if you're going to stand there and like literally read what the journal says, I can just read it for myself, right? I don't know. I guess my life experiences that I've had have kind of shaped me. So when people say I go too hard on people, I'm like, well, you say I'm going too hard, but if you had the same experiences I had in my education, I'm not just talking about school. Like, there's going to school and then there's your education, right? My education was worth a whole lot more than what I paid or scholarships paid or whatever in official classrooms and stuff, right? People who taught me, people I learned from, right? it just irks me. Some people just can't report the news. They put spins on it and have everybody all confused and everything. And they have audiences, and then people go and repeat that stuff, right? That's why I have an issue with influencers, even though I guess in a way I'm an influencer, right? And so it's like I feel like it's on me to say, look, this is my opinion. Look, this is what I read from here. I read this. I don't remember where I read it, but I read it from somewhere. So somebody else said this, and I'm just sharing it with you guys, right? That's what I try to do. But getting back to this Marvel stuff, this is probably the last thing that I'm gonna touch on because it's almost 1 a.m. here. All right, so Lupita Nyong'o readies herself for Black Panther 2. Says the rewrite is spiritually and emotionally correct. Now, I meant to read this before I pressed to go live, so I haven't read it. So this is my first time looking at this, but I did want to comment because we know that Black Panther 2 is it's coming out next year. It's titled Wakanda Forever, is what we saw in the little Marvel teaser thing. But you know, T'Challa will not be recast. Ryan Coogler is working on rewriting his script, right, to further the mythology and the inspiration of Wakanda. So what it sounds like is that they're dealing with a situation where T'Challa is not there, right, and it's a story that's being told around Wakanda, right? That's why it's Wakanda Forever. We know from this book that was, so it's coming out July 8th, 2022. So a year from now, a year and some change. But they're building up the mythology around Wakanda. They're building up the supporting cast. Now, this is where I can get with this, right? Because I mean, like seeing the Dora Milaje in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and the fact that the new Captain America, his suit comes from Wakanda. Wakanda's reaching out. They're trying to help play a part in what the Avengers are doing, what everybody's doing. The supporting the first Black Panther, I didn't do an official review. I'm thinking I had this idea that I shared with my big bro Ash, Sifu Ash Higgs of the Zhongshin Dao Ili Chin School of Kung Fu, right? My big bro Ash. I talked to him about this. I was like, man, if I keep running with the Urban Acolyte channel, I want to talk more about the MCU, because I feel like the MCU is like what Star Wars was for us back in the 80s. I feel like the MCU is for kids now, right? The MCU is big, you know, like that moment in Endgame, several moments in Endgame, but when Cap picked up the hammer, people went nuts. When all the heroes come through the Doctor Strange portals, mystical portals, and they're all there, and then Cap, Avengers assemble, right? And Mjolnir comes to him, right? I just watching that in the little Marvel Infinity Saga Phase 4 trailer. I kind of, you know, I had a moment there. It still hits, right? You know, Marvel is doing it, right? I mean, I spent, you know, even the people who have an issue with it, they're talking about Brie Larson can't carry another Captain Marvel movie, and I'm like, yo, man, they're like building up. They're built that it's like well, I want to touch on Black Panther, but I still got to talk about Captain Marvel. You guys lost. Like I don't think they realize that you lost. You lost. Right? You lost. Right? Captain Marvel is bigger than ever now. You lost. They chirped all, they talked all this stuff about Brie Larson can't do this. Brie Larson can't do it. We hate Captain Marvel, right? the character of Captain Marvel seems to not be popular. Now, I didn't know this because most of my friends who are in the comic book stuff, then this is, and I don't read the stuff, but the people I get like information on comic books from, they are all big Captain Marvel fans, right? And it is what it is. If you want to call, you know, if you want to call my friend Cameron, oh, well, he must be soft. He must be a beta. This dude was in the Navy and in the Army. He was in the Army's Taekwondo team, right? He did stuff with special forces guys in South Korea. Did stuff with the South Korean Army's Taekwondo team, right? Like, what have you done? If you're gonna call him some kind of beta or whatever, he must be a pussy, right? Okay, sure, sure. And your greatest accomplishment was you fapped off to watching a bunch of LARPers storm the Capitol. Get out of here with that mess, right? You ain't bout it, right? I spent more time in the I spent more time in the shitter on my ship off the coast of Iraq than you have. The closest thing you did was watch G.I. Joe. Get the fuck out of here, man. All right, but anyway, so that's who I get a lot of my Marvel, what's going on in Marvel information from was my bro, who's a fellow vet, fellow martial artist, and he's got a girlfriend here in Thailand, so he might be joining me over here soon when the world manages to unscrew itself and get this COVID stuff out of here, right? So you guys lost. Captain Marvel, she's moved to the mentor, right? She had her hero's journey, which I talked about in my Captain Marvel review. If you didn't know I reviewed it, go check it out. And I talked about the idea of sisterhood in that movie. Sisterhood is a strong bond in female role models, right? You look at, what was it, the Great Intelligence or whatever the leader of the Kree was, that AI. And the AI is Marvel, who is now a woman, and in this version of the story, Marvel, they didn't just gender bend Marvel from the comics, where he was, had Captain Marvel powers. Marvel is a scientist, and she's trying to help the Kree, and she's, was she trying to experiment on the Tesseract and make this engine that could help transport, the good Kree, the victims of this, not the Kree, the Skrulls, the victims from the Kree Skrull War. They're the good ones, right? They're not the ones that we should be trying to worry about and wipe out. They're not all bad, right? We can't commit genocide against a whole species. It's wrong, right? She's a different kind of mentor, right? She gives Carol her sense of compassion, right? But this other greater intelligence and I don't know, what's his name, Yanrog or whatever, you're a weapon, right? You're a weapon. You're here, and it's like she's a weapon, but even then they want to keep the shackles on her. They want to keep her under control. And so it's tapping into her femininity. It's funny, like Professor Geek he's supposed to be some kind of college professor. These Fandominus channels. He did a video before the movie was even out comparing Alita Battle Angel to Captain Marvel. This is why this guy, and I challenged him. I called him out on it on Twitter. He blocked me. And I'm like, bro, you would hate to have me in your classroom, right? Because no teacher, I had a teacher, AJ Levine at Vanderbilt. I dropped out of school and ended up getting an F in her class because I dropped out. I wasn't going to get an F if I hadn't dropped out, right? Right. They called me in to take the exam. I was like, I'm in the middle of New Mexico, right? I'm not coming back anytime soon. So I was like, I'm not coming back to school. I'm trying to do this YouTube thing. So thanks, thanks, but I'm done. I don't want to take out any more student loans, when I'm making money making YouTube videos. But AJ Levine used to, and you guys might not know this name, but this lady, she knows her stuff, right? Her CV was like 30 pages long of like all her academic accomplishments, articles she's written, books she's written, places where she's been invited to speak, and just everything. She's a heavy hitter in terms of like New Testament scholarship. But AJ said, you can challenge me, but if you challenge me, you need to know what you're talking about, right? And so I just Professor Geek guy, if I were a student in his classroom and I challenged him, I'd probably shut him the F up, right? And I would, right? Because he made this video and he's talking about the hero's journey and how Captain Marvel's not going to follow the hero's journey. I'm like, well, there's a story called The Heroine's Journey. I know it's a feminist book, right? The noted Star Wars feminist Trisha Barr recommended it. She's like, if you really want to understand Rey's character, you need to read this. I'm gonna make a confession with you guys. I haven't finished the book. I started reading it, but when you're a graduate student, a lot of times they give you a lot of reading, and they don't expect you to actually do it. It's like, we want you to look at this and kind of get the general idea, the big picture, so you can come to class and participate in the discussion. And you got to be smart enough not to know when to start. Okay, I'm getting in over my head now. I might want to shut the F up, right? I contributed enough, and if I've got to write a paper, okay, now I actually need to sit down and spend some time reading the book, so I don't just pull some stuff out of my backside in the essay or the paper or the reflection piece, whatever, term paper. But the heroine's journey, what I had read was the heroine's journey starts out, and usually for a woman, because Joseph Campbell was like, oh, women don't go on a hero's journey, they're already there. And it was like, no, they're not. They're not there. That's the premise of that's what the premise that the lady, I think her name, I don't remember her name. I'm not even gonna say what I think. I started to say Maureen something, but I don't think it's a Maureen. I don't remember. You Google it, look it up on Amazon, The Heroine's Journey, if you're really interested. But what she starts out, she says, well, Joe was kind of right, because when a woman starts out on the hero's journey, she has to become like a man, right? And that's what Carol is, like a man, right? She's not in touch with herself. And so as she gets more in touch with her feminine side, that's when she she has her awakening experience and this call to adventure. And it's like, Nick, what's the dude over S.H.I.E.L.D.? I just forgot his name. Nick, I keep wanting to say Nick Cage, and I'm like, it's not Nick Fury, right? She meets Fury, and he's kind of the wise person on the side of the road, right? The wise person who kind of the wise old mentor, right? Who kind of facilitates her awakening through their exchange. She gets more in touch with her human side, and there's like, well, she's too stiff. She shows no emotion. She's a horrible actor. And it's like, well, if you understood storytelling and you paid attention to the story instead of you're just saying this stuff because you don't like Brie Larson, you're trying to find a fault in her. It's like, well, she's not herself. She's trying to be like a man. She's trying to be like a weapon. She's trying to be these things that the Kree told her she is, but she's not even a Kree. She's like, oh, I'm a pink skinned Kree or whatever. No, you're not. You're not even Kree. Like, you had this blood transfusion, and this Yanrog guy is like, oh, you owe everything you are to me, and you should be grateful to me, and I'm your mentor, and I'm gonna tell you who you are. And then what is that thing called? The great intelligence, whatever it is. It's like reinforcing. It's like we're reinforcing the construct that we built for you, but and we're reinforcing the shackles. But Carol, that's not who you are. You're Carol Danvers. You're this girl who fails over and over again, but you get back up again, right? And you have to get back in touch with that person. You have to remember who your sister is, right? Who helped you through this, Maria Rambeau. And you're this hero to Maria's daughter, Monica Rambeau, right? And you have this mentor who inspired you and Maria to keep pushing, even though it felt like, the Air Force was holding you back. You have this greater mission. You're part of something bigger. You're actually heroes, right? You just don't know it, right? And you got to get it back in touch. You got to find out who Marvel is. This is why you keep seeing I don't remember what the hell it is, the greater intelligence, whatever. This is why you keep seeing this AI as Marvel. You just forgotten. It's all suppressed, right? And it's part of the shackles that are holding you down. You got to stop trying to be like a man. Stop trying to be this perfect Kree soldier, a weapon, a tool. You've got to step into who you really are, right? And that's what the hero's journey is. It's discovering who you really are, right? So this Professor Geek guy is like, oh, well, Alita Battle Angel goes on the hero's journey, but Captain Marvel is just feminist propaganda, and she's demonic and this. And I'm like, bro, are you first off, the movie wasn't even out yet, so how do you know? And then after I saw it, I was like, amazing. Everything you just said was wrong. I'm like, Alita Battle Angel, I enjoyed the movie too. You know, I got some fandom menace dork who's all, anytime I say something about Captain Marvel, he's like, you should watch Alita Battle Angel. It's like, bro, I saw it in the movie. I just didn't have anything to say about it. But you think I'm going to make a video about every movie I see? No. I saw the awful Paul movie. I fell asleep watching it. I didn't make a video about that. I saw the new Samson and Delilah movie. I fell asleep watching it. I didn't make a video about that. I don't make videos about everything I see, right? Watched a whole lot of Thai movies. We'll make videos about that, right? But Alita is like, oh, I'm going to give you my heart. And I'm like, your heart is what makes you special. It's what powers that battle suit. It's what makes you a battle angel. You're going to give it to this guy who like sold everyone out, right? This guy who, you know, he's not as great as you think he is, right? And I mean, he comes real, but he comes true in the end. But what did it cost him after he lost his body, right? And he's a cyborg made from jacked up parts, right? After he sold everyone out, and it's like he's not as great as you thought he was, right? He's not your Prince Charming. It was that loss, right? She's lost everything, and now she steps into who she needs to be, right? But it was like, I don't know if that's really an inspirational character up to that point. What message does that send out to girls who watch the movie, right? Why do these guys think that this, you know, from this certain group, think that this is the end all be all? And I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I enjoyed it, but I'm just looking like, man, this girl is really naive, right? She wants to belong to something, and she doesn't even see that it's her that's special, right? She's looking everywhere else, kind of like Rey, right? Very much like Rey in Star Wars, right? Rey is looking for a family and looking for everybody else, and oh, I'm not the one, I'm not the great hero. And Luke is kind of like, you kind of are. You don't really need me. You got it all. You know what to do. You just won't do it, right? It's really what he's telling Rey in The Last Jedi. And then, you know, but he doesn't want to help when she actually does need help, and that's when Yoda has to step in, like, yo, man, like, Luke, you need to get off your. You need to get over what happened with Ben, man. Like, you mess up, okay? You messed up, but it's not really on you. That was his choice, right? Okay, you made some mistakes, but it takes two to tango. But this time, this girl's reaching out. She really wants your help, and you know, you need to give it to her, right? If she fails, then that's the big failure. You know, your time is up, but you know, you need to point her in the right direction, man. Like, you know, that's essentially, people had issues with that because they don't want to see the bigger picture. And here, you know, people want to see what they want to see, but I'm telling you guys, she won. Captain Marvel, she's the mentor, right? Marvel inspired her. Now she's got her own little Marvels, right? And they're those little girl power family. And apparently Miss Marvel is going to have new powers besides just the power she has in the comic books, which I'm biggin'. right? Is, you know, because in the comics it's like, well, what makes her different from Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, right? She stretches, so does he. You know, I guess she can morph and, you know, shape shift and other stuff because of her abilities. But I think they're gonna give her like photon blasts or something. I don't know. She's gonna have like additional powers, which I think might be, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I was kind of saying I wonder if Eternals Eternals kind of introduces the Inhuman gene, because it's like, well, Miss Marvel is an Inhuman, but they haven't done Inhumans in the MCU. They had the show and they dealt with it in Agents of Shield, but that was like Marvel's TV studio, Marvel TV or whatever, which was separate from the MCU. Even though they tried to cross it over with Agents of Shield the first two seasons, it's not canon, right? Not MCU canon, Earth 616 canon. So I don't. I'm interested to see how they introduce Miss Marvel, and if they do go the Inhumans route, or, you know, I think the Eternals might introduce the Inhuman gene and the X gene, so they're responsible for mutants and Inhuman. I don't know. I don't know. And it really doesn't matter what the comic books do, because it's the MCU, so they're kind of doing their own thing. But it'll be interesting. But anyway, getting back to this Black Panther thing, like I said, it looks like they're building on Wakanda. There's not gonna be they're not gonna recast T'Challa, and I feel like you need to recast T'Challa. I know there's been statements, you know, Chadwick will always be T'Challa. He's our king, you know, of Wakanda, this and that. Um, well, Lupita Nyong'o went on to say, however, that she feels that Coogler's rewrite pays homage to Boseman and T'Challa. Ryan Coogler's idea, the way which he has reshaped the second movie, is so respectful of the loss we've all experienced as a cast and as a world. So it feels spiritually and emotionally correct to do this. And hopefully what I do look forward to is getting back together and honoring what he started with us and holding his light through it, because he left us a lot of light that we're still going to be bathing in. I know that for sure. I know back in the summer of last year, I talked about this in several videos, and people, the big thing, the consensus I was seeing from very vocal people was that Shuri should become Black Panther. And I was against that. And it doesn't have anything to do with I'm misogynist and I don't want to see. It was really, I haven't seen that development in the Shuri character. And, you know, people, well, it happened in the comic books, and I went and looked it up, and I'm like, you know what? Shuri does become Black Panther while T'Challa's injured. But then Shuri develops like mystical powers. She's a necromancer and she can do this dark magic stuff, right? Or she's like a shaman. I shouldn't say dark magic. She becomes a shaman. Well, first, when she becomes Black Panther, the Panther goddess doesn't grant her the Black Panther, so she's in the suit, right? After T'Challa had been training her up, you know. And so she's no flower shaped herb, you know, Wakandan super soldier serum, which is something that in the MCU Shuri is working on, a, you know, just like we saw with the whole Captain America thing. There's a super soldier serum floating around. Shuri has gotten her hands on the formula, and she's making her own, right? So there's that. That's in the MC. That's going on in Wakanda that might come out in the movie. I don't know, right? Because Killmonger burned all of the heart-shaped herb, and they've got to find a way to grow a new one. There's no Chad Boseman, so there's no T'Challa. So T'Challa's off the board, and they've got to deal with that wherever he is. And so I feel like that's going to pay homage. That's how they're going to pay homage to Chad, and T'Challa he's off the map. We've got to find some way to deal with this threat to Wakanda. That could be Namor and the Atlanteans. You know, in game they mentioned something with the problem with the ocean. We could introduce that. Apparently, Namor beat the brakes off of Wakanda and the Atlanteans. That could present a whole new story. Um, what I think is that whatever's going on in Wakanda, I think this movie's gonna have to be like kind of a crossover thing. It's gonna deal with everyone in Wakanda that we know of, the Dora, but there'll probably be other. You know, it'll be like an Avengers type movie that happens in Wakanda. I could see a reason for Captain America to show up because he's connected to Wakanda. Bucky is connected to Wakanda. I could see a reason for them to be there. Baron Zemo is the helmet. Zemo is connected to Wakanda, right? They came and got him, locked him up. There's a lot of stuff that they kind of set up for the story for people to have ties to Wakanda now. And what I think, I wish that we had gotten Black Widow when it was, because Black Widow was supposed to kick off phase 4. What I see happening, and I've been sitting on this for almost a year, what I'm about to tell y'all is that I think we're going to have multiple storylines going on in phase 4, just like we had in phase 1, right? We had all the stuff with Hydra's connected to, you know, going all the way back to the very beginning. Captain America, the first Avenger, right, is the Tesseract, right, is Red Skull and his organization, which becomes Hydra. You know, they're you know, seeking these magical artifacts or whatever. They're dealing with the Tesseract, right? Over time that becomes Hydra. Hydra's, you know, looking for these infinity gems that were stored on Earth, right? For whatever reasons, to experiment on people, create weapons, whatever, right? Um, and so you had this whole thing with Hydra, and then that storyline creates Ultron, right? Ultron, we got Ultron so we can deal with all these world threats, so we're not, you know, spread out all over the place, you know, for the next time there's some major invasion from space, some alien invasion, right? We got Ultron. That's what Tony was looking at, because he was afraid of the Avengers getting their butts whooped, getting caught off guard, you know, by another alien invasion. What came next? And then, you know, well, they dealt with Ultron, but Sokovia, right? They killed everybody in Sokovia. So now you got this guy who's remaining from Hydra, right? Zemo, right? He kills the king of Wakanda. You got the Sokovian Accords because of what he did, what he played a part in, right? And you know, and then well, Crossbones, member of Hydra too. They blew him up. Scarlet Witch handled it the way she did all these people in is that in Nairobi, Kenya, or Nigeria. They killed them, and there were Wakandans who were killed in that blast too, right? So all this stuff, Hydra was there. They played a part in facilitating the fracturing of the Avengers. So when Thanos comes and rolls in, this is next part of this invasion. Oh, there's infinity gems on Earth. We got to go get them. The Avengers are split up and separated, right? Steve and Natalie and Sam, they're on the run. Bucky's in Wakanda, you know, trying to undo the programming from being the Winter Soldier. And then we got the official Avengers who signed the Sokovian Accords with Tony, right? But everyone's split up and separated. Clint is kind of retired at this point, sort of, kind of. Hydra facilitated that. That was what their part in phase 1 is. The Avengers are fractured because of what they did, right? So it sounds like the big bad that's coming in the next phase, right? Is Kang the Conqueror, time traveler. I don't think they're gonna make him a time traveler. I think he's gonna be from a time traveler, but from an alternate, from somewhere else in the multiverse. Is what I see at, because what he's supposed to be introducing the Wasp and Ant-Man and the Wasp, the quantum verse, right? So, you know, he's probably somebody coming from the quantum verse, and he's, understands, how to manipulate, quantum physics. And so his power is really, that he understands science, just like Thor said, our science is your magic. Right? It's gonna look like magic to everyone else, but it's his science coming from this future, this alternate reality in the future, far off future, way far out future. Right? And I think that these other stories with these more earth-based heroes is gonna kind of set up. This is just a real serious threat, but these things going on here are going to kind of separate everybody. They're going to be dealing with all of this other stuff, and it's going to allow for this person to step in and do these other things, right? Secret Invasion is coming. Nick Fury, Secret Invasion, right? We got Skrulls. We saw that in Spider-Man, right? Saw it in Captain Marvel. The Marvels will probably deal more with Secret Invasion. Nick Fury, Secret Invasion, right? Skrull War, right? And what's going on with Wakanda? Well, we need Wakanda and their technology to deal with the Skrulls and whatever, Kang the Conqueror might do as well, right? So it's like I see, and then we got the multiverse of madness. Doctor Strange, what's going on with the multiverse? Multiverse stuff is probably going to deal, this is like the mystical side of the science side that has to do with King the Conqueror, but then we got other threats there as well, right? The whole people being upset that Mephisto didn't show up in WandaVision, right? But then wasn't she like meditating, and she hears her kids like calling out to her while she's meditating, and kind of the epilogue post credit scene to WandaVision, which means, yo man, like the Hex. Wasn't that what that place was called? The Hex. These kids didn't die in the Hex. Like, they exist somewhere else. And I think, the people being upset about Mephisto is like, that's still on the table. It's still in the card somewhere. It's just, it didn't happen yet. Right? So we got that to deal with. Right? Whatever has been awoken, whatever else was awoken as a result of the Hex, is still on the table. This Doctor Strange movie, which would take Doctor Strange, they're dealing with that. He and Wanda, and so it's like we got to have these other stories, right, to allow whoever the big bad is. It's like Thanos. Everybody's dealing with everything else. Here's Thanos out here collecting Infinity Gems. What is Kang the Conqueror after in this story? We don't know yet, because he hadn't been introduced. We don't know what's going on, right? But we've got the Thunderbolts, the Dark Avengers. I don't know that this Elaine from Seinfeld is doing, with U.S. Agent as her first recruit, the first member of the Dark Avengers. We got the Young Avengers, right? Kate Bishop is coming. We've already seen Patriot, grandson of what's his name, Elijah Bradley. Is it Isaiah or Elijah? I don't know. Is Elijah the grandson? I don't remember. Right? But so we're seeing them, right? And then Kang the Conqueror is Iron Lad. So at one point in time, he's a young Avenger, right? Will What part will White Vision play? Right. So the MCU is just getting bigger and deeper and better, right? And I don't. I really want to see more of T'Challa, Black Panther, but I was saying all of this because there's so much that they can do and set a story in Wakanda. This is dealing with Wakanda, and we need all these cameos and other heroes to show up because T'Challa he's off the map. And you deal with that, you remind everybody Wakanda forever, Wakanda will be here forever. And then, and then the next movie, the next big event, you introduce a new T'Challa, right? You gotta, I know they can pass the mantle, but one, it's like, okay, you pass the mantle, you make it Shuri, right? Are you giving her the heart-shaped herb? But it's like the Black Panther isn't just a Captain America type dude. He's a king. They are a king, or the monarch, I'll say, because I'm trying to be gender inclusive to include the possibility that Shuri could assume the mantle. But they're also a shaman, right? They do the whole spirit walk and talk to the past the past Black Panthers, right? And if you just administer the super soldier serum, okay, here you go. We made this. This is a synthetic heart-shaped herb or whatever. I've improved it. Maybe Shuri improves it to make them even stronger. What about that spiritual aspect of the character, right? You bury them in the dirt and they go down under, and they literally go down under. And so you're just going to get rid of that aspect. So how does that make them better? Okay, they're physically better, but what about their connection to the Panther goddess and the past kings, right? You're just getting, it's almost like the Avatar, right? The Avatar is the bridge between, the physical world and the spirit world. We focus on, well, the Avatar can bend all of the elements. Yeah, that they can do that. They have that. But with the significance of the Avatar, because we saw in Korra, right? The Avatar can bend all the elements, but that doesn't mean jack, right? Because you had all these masters, right? What was his name? The dude who became an airbender, and he studied all the airbender philosophy, and this dude flew, and he almost killed Korra, right? He sucked the wind right out of her, right? And then they had all the other masters, and then we found out about what the masters that were like Zuko's grandfather was one of them, where he had like this amazing control of fire, and like, just because you're the Avatar, okay, you could bend all the elements, but somebody who's just a master of their one element can do some pretty amazing stuff, right? And they might be a problem for the Avatar. We saw that in Korra, and it might have been in Aang series too, right? I don't remember if they had the lady that was the bloodbender, right? She would have been a problem with Aang, but I think eventually Aang learned how to deal with bloodbending when he grew up, right? He would take their bending from him, or seal their bending, whatever. I don't want to say he took their bending, but he closed off their chakras, essentially, because Avatar dealt with chakras, so he closed off their chakras, right? That's a thing, if you're into that sort of thing. So like I just question, if where are they gonna go with the future of the Black Panther character? If you pass it on to Shuri, I don't. The part 2 could be where she steps up her game, and then but you can't just throw that out there, right? You got to grow into that character, right? It's why it's called the hero's journey. It's a journey, right? T'Challa himself had a journey, right? It was handed to him, and then it was taken from him, and then he had to earn it back, right? And he had to. It's just like I say, like Black Panther was very much like the first Thor movie, where Thor he's Thor, and he's so great, and he's so awesome, and he's gonna become the king one day. He's very proud of himself, right? And then he had to be humbled, right? T'Challa had to be he wasn't very proud, but he was humbled, right? Because he kind of felt like Killmonger was beneath him. Even though he had pity, he still felt like you're still kind of beneath me. You're still not really worthy, right? You're still kind of an outsider, you know. And then it's like, yo, man, Dad, you made a mistake, man. You should have accepted him, and you shouldn't have left him. And now you created this problem for me and for us, and look what he's doing, and you messed up. And I got to be better. You know, I can't make the same mistake and make problems, you know, for the world that somebody else later on down the line will have to deal with. And then, you know, Killmonger met his end, and is what it is. I don't know if he'll come back. I would hope they wouldn't go there. I would like to see Killmonger come back, Michael B. Jordan come back, but not as, oh yeah, they just bring him back. Except they bring a good version of him. No, Killmonger's Killmonger, right? You know, and the whole Killmonger was right thing, and he was never right. Look at his name. His name is Killmonger, right? So what is he trained to do? He's trained to go into places and destabilize them, not fix them back up, right? He was going to destabilize Wakanda and the rest of the world, right? Just because he was like, well, I'm helping my black people, and so people, yeah, right, yeah, and it's like, okay, how is that helping, right? You're giving them weapons so that they can fight back, but then what? Okay, all the black people in the hood, it got all these weapons from Wakanda, and that has shot up everybody. But now what? You know, this is a dude I don't really care too much for, but I was listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, and I actually agreed with him on a few, especially when it came to special education, but you know, in the inner city. But because that's what he actually studied in school, being a school psychologist. All this other stuff he talks about, I'm like, bro, you need to just stop talking, man. Just stick to this other stuff. This other stuff, that's your opinion. That's not fact, right? But this other stuff, you spitting, bro. But this other stuff, you need to leave that alone, man. You sound like a crazy person, right? Made me want to punch you in the mouth and snatch off your dashiki, right? But he did make a good point. He was like, you know, you look in these black neighborhoods and cities that, you know, majority black cities, Atlanta, you know, I ain't say anything about Jackson, Mississippi, right? But he's like, you know, black neighborhoods, they don't own the schools, they don't own a hospital, they don't own a grocery store, they don't own a bank, right? So the bank invests in the community, the schools educate the community, the stores feed the community, the hospitals heal the community, right? So the banks invest in the community, the schools educate the community, the stores feed the community, the hospitals heal the community, save the community, right? So I was like, so Killmonger's gonna go in and destabilize all these cities and what, and then what? You ruin the infrastructure and gotten rid of the leadership, and now everybody's gonna sit around like, what the fuck we gonna do now? So Killmonger was not right. He was wrong. He had one objective. He knew how to do one thing. He's a killmonger. He destabilizes countries, cities, and then somebody else comes in, and the U.S. government comes in and installs whoever they want to be there, right? That's what he did. And he was going to destabilize Wakanda, right? Okay, if something happens to him, who's the next king, right? Eventually, you know, I guess the heart-shaped herb makes him pretty much like a super soldier, so he would age slower, I would think. But, you know, T'Challa's dad, I guess maybe he stopped taking the herb and gave it to T'Challa, and then he started getting older, aging. I don't know. He got old, right? Maybe as long as that herb is in your system, as long as that herb is in your system, you stay young. I don't know. But no, Killmonger was wrong. If they bring him back, I've seen stuff. Charlie, Emergency Awesome, I think he posted a video about Killmonger coming back or something. I don't know. Charlie, I don't want to say he posts clickbait, but he kind of does, because it's like he'll have a video and it's like, oh, Black Panther 2 teaser, trailer, Killmonger returns. And then it's like, oh well, I read there's been discussion of this, and it's like, but this is what you titled the video. I noticed he does that. Well, he's always done that, and he's the biggest at what he does, so he can get away with it. Somebody else starting out, somebody smaller, they can't do that, right? People will eat them alive. Charlie's been doing it for so long. That's what he does. People are gonna click the video, and I mean, he delivers information, good information when he does. But I kind of saw that, and I'm like, you know what? I need to take a break from this, because sometimes you title the videos, and you touch on those topics, but I don't feel like you deliver what the video title is, right? And I'd rather you just list your sources and let me go read it myself. So that's just me, right? I just rather have a conversation about the stuff, leave it at that, and go on about my day. And that's what I just did. This is the first episode of the Off the Dome show. I may turn this into a podcast as well, so I stripped the audio and figure out how to get it posted somewhere as a podcast. I keep saying I'm gonna do that, so I was like, I need to just go on and do it. Maybe I'll chop these up into smaller episodes for people to easily digest as well. We'll see what I decide to do. But anyway, like, this is the first one. Like, the only way to know what I'm going to do is just to do it, put it out there for y'all, see if you enjoy it, and then go on about my day. So that's really all I got for this one. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you. Y'all enjoy your Star Wars day. It's already the 5th over here. Time for me to go to bed. It's almost 2 a.m. So yeah. I'll holler at y'all on the next one.